we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to another new week of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, man, do we got a great show for you. Yeah, Vinnie is here. Finally, after years of thinking about this and finally getting it together from Disclosure Team Podcast, Vinnie Adams joining us from the United Kingdom this morning, and it is going to be a rockin' show. We got all of you as well, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, and B with a silver. Laura Lobbs taking home a bronze medal tonight. Simon the Likeable, how you doing? Robert Lamont, Derek Galloway, Dino Bravo, nice to see you all. Karen in the Woo Train, Kurt M, Roy Boy, Carolina Garcia, welcome to SOR Chat. The Attorney at Large, Michael Morris, Mama Susan, Jessica S, Les Paul Holland, good to have you all here. Brown Dwarf, nice to see you. Toe Tag, what's happening? Griff, thanks for coming on in. And Tim Mothman and his goatee, thank you for joining us. Monica and Jennifer Patterson. Jennifer Patterson's going to be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Desert Rat, good to see you. As we continue on with roll call, Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means it's officially time to start this show. Gong Show, nice to see you. Deb, how you doing? And who else do we have? Millennium, my man. T-Bone is back. T-Bone will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Nick Adkins, Crystal J, good to see you. Paramarv, thanks for joining us. Number 33 in your program, starting at right wing from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Crystal J, Bar Madison, long time, no time. Thank you for joining us. Android, good to see you. Mama Catherine, mwah. I love you, Mama. Hope you're having a great evening. Benji, what's happening? And who else do we have? River Dogma, good to see you. Pixie Lara and Richard Elmore, thank you for coming on in. Deer Slayer and the birthday boy from yesterday, Javier from Cryptid 559, good to see you. Super crazy. How you doing, man? And who else do we have here? We have Welsh Hammer, and we have Pix, and we have, who's next on the line here? Beelzebrad. It's been a while, my man. How you been doing? Hope you're well. Okay, continuing on with our roll call tonight. Susie B has returned. Not sure where she's been, but you know what? It's still good. Roger Murray, how you doing? Worsley, what's happening, my man? And Marty Burback. Little Robbie G, what's happening in the rafters tonight? Continuing on with our roll call, Thomas Rock, thank you for joining us. And Big J, how you doing, my man? Thank you for coming on in. As we continue on with roll call, Michael Godbold, nice to have you back. And Pixie Lara, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. And who else? We have Ann Palmer. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get the radio side started right now. And on the podcast side, we say hello to everybody listening on in on Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott from Disclosure Team Podcast. Vinnie Adams is here. We're going to break down all the UFO sorts. It's been going on quite a bit recently. And man, it's going to be a good show. There's Bill WD-40 lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. Cherry Pepsi Mike, what's happening, my man? How you doing? Good to see you again. Alien Believers, thanks for coming on in. And we are caught up on the roll call. And I want to remind everybody the Super Chat is open. Also open is our store on our website, spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. We have swag that you actually would like to wear out rather than just while you're painting or washing the floors or moving couches. No, our stuff you could actually wear out and be proud of it. So head to spacedoutradio.com. Remember, May 10th through 12th, 2024, at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort in Reno. It's the 3rd annual SOR fan party. We got a bunch of special guests coming for you, a live show. You can take part in a ghost hunt, UFO skywatch. Now, go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, to learn more. Here we go, everybody. Get those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find us on our website. All right, we got a power show of awesomeness tonight. We're going to get into UFOs, disclosure, so much more from the popular Disclosure Team podcast. Vinnie Adams will join us momentarily. Then in hour number 3, we have the UFO report. We have Steve Stockton, and we are going to round it out with major UFO news. Vinnie Adams is the host of Disclosure Team podcast, and he's also a member of UAPmedia UK. Now, this is a show I've wanted to do for a while because for the last number of years, Vinnie and a lot of his good friends from overseas, good Commonwealth guys, okay, they have been putting together great work when it comes to everything to do with UFO and UAP news. To get him on the show, well, we had to wake him up early because it is an 8-hour time difference from where I am to where Vinnie is, and we're glad to finally do this. He's wanted to do this for a while. I have wanted to do this for a while. And you know what? When you get two bright minds like that, one brighter than others, because I'm way too Canadian for that. And it's wintertime. It's like dark out at like 4:00 now. Well, it's going to produce a great show for you. Vinnie is also a member of the Phenomenology group, studying the mysterious lights occurring in Colombia. He has also produced some of the most interesting UFO interview content and has been involved in many disclosure initiatives, both in the UK and overseas here in the United States and Canada. Vinnie Adams, it's been a while. We're finally going to do this, my man. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, Dave. Thank you so much for having me. It's so surreal hearing the that very popular theme tune of yours and then being like actually on finally, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have to admit, I don't know why, man. I am actually awesomely nervous for this show tonight because, I mean, I've wanted to do this for a long time, and we're finally here, and I'm just a little too geeked up for this one, man. Way too geeked up for this one. But you know what? Thank you for coming on. And the one thing that doesn't matter whether, like, I'm in Canada, the majority of our listeners are in the United States, you're over in the United Kingdom, but the one thing that we all have in common is a true love for this subject of UFOs and UAPs. And whether you're a UAP guy or whether you're a UFO guy, it really doesn't matter. It's about getting to the heart of the subject of why we are all here. How did you get involved with this? What caught your attention?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think I'm like a lot of people. I was born in the late 70s, and then we had a plethora of really good UFO and kind of alien movies come out of Hollywood into the early 80s, and that caught my attention at a really young age. But I think it was more sort of 2008, 9, 10 kind of time. I started watching a lot of documentaries and a lot of kind of lectures as well. There was a Richard Dolan and a few people used to come over to the UK to some exopolitics conferences, and I just catch them online, and it just really just left me wanting more. And we just at that time had a big plethora of UK UFO files released from the Ministry of Defense. And so I was spending many a late night sat in front of my computer, just going through them, just trying to see if I could put any kind of puzzle pieces together. And that was 13 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. And so here we are today after a lot of late nights.
You know what? And late nights it is, because this is one subject that when you fall in love with it, whether you're an experiencer or you're just a super fan of the possibility, it's addicting. Twitter is addicting. The stories are addicting. You're trying to move as much information as possible to get people around. How have you noticed the change in the game in the 13 years from when you started researching heavily to where we are today? Because the game has changed so much.
It has, yeah. I suppose there are kind of different ways that I've looked at it over the years. I've always tried to look at this as a global phenomena. So looking at the UK documents, but also going further afield, Brazil, France, Australia, and always trying to see if there's any kind of correlation or similarities between different cases and sightings. But obviously the focus has always really been there in the US, there's no doubt about that. And so keeping my eye on the way the subject progressed pre-2017, there were times where it really was frustrating because it just felt like it was just going on a flat level. Nothing was progressing, even though we had such great researchers doing a lot of good work. Stanton Friedman was still with us, and it was really kind of, it kept me going. But I think it was obviously 2017 hit when I felt like there was that sea change, and it maybe started to feel like we were on an upward trajectory. And that's when I really ramped up my research and sort of I came public in like 2020, kind of putting myself out there. And I see the main change being at 2017. Like it needed that kind of big jump or that big push to kind of reignite the sort of flame, as it were.
Are you a UFO guy or are you a UAP guy?
It's a great question, and I know that's a point of contention here on that show. Do you know what? I'm actually both, and the reason why is because UAP was used as far back as, I think the earliest I found was 1949, and so it has been used almost as much as UFO. I did kind of switch over to UAP when discussing the subject, especially here in the UK, because the stigma around UFO is so dense that even to be able to have the conversation with anyone, I felt that using UAP did kind of allow me to get a little bit further in those conversations. Whereas now I go sort of back and forth between, maybe depending on the cases. I think anything post Nimitz, I tend to go UAP, but I can't really use UAP when I'm talking about like Socorro, New Mexico, let's say 1964. That's a UFO case, So it does sort of flip and change.
See, for me, where it changed for me was the UAP term just never rolled off the tongue right. It never tasted like a nice fine steak would. You know what I'm saying? And so that just kind of bothered me. But where I really changed my attitude towards it was back in February when the drones started coming around and the balloons. And the more I heard all of these generals and these people out of Washington, D.C. talk about it, and even our government up here in Canada, when they would talk about it, this is where I really learned the difference, in my opinion, between a UFO and a UAP, because everything seemed to be more slanted that a UAP was a man-made object rather than a UFO, which is still unidentified. So that's kind of, some people may say, hey, you're pulling horse hairs out of a tail or something along those lines. But that's where I kind of drew the line on it, where it was like, no, I'm a UFO guy. It's not just because I can't stand the term, but there's a difference. And I think more and more we're starting to see that difference really separate again.
Yeah. Yeah, this is why I can see it from so many different points of view. Like that makes perfect sense. But then I think about, you know, when you look at the flying part, if these things are utilizing some kind of anti-gravity technology, then they're not typically flying. So there's that argument as well. And this is why I try not to spend too much time worrying about it. I always say to people, look, use whichever term you feel comfortable with. Just be sure that you're having this conversation. And I think that's kind of where my focus kind of shifts to, rather than, because I could go back and forth all day thinking about the right and wrong reasons to say either.
Oh, true enough. True, very true enough. My friend, have you ever had an experience? I've never heard you really talk about, things that you've seen over the years.
It's funny because I've always seen things in the sky, but been very quick to kind of pull out my phone, pull up the star apps, the satellite trackers, and everything like that. And every single time I've been able to put a prosaic explanation to it. So the only strange experiences I have had is in Colombia, because we've been out there for 2 years now, 2022 and earlier this year, looking at this mysterious light phenomena, very similar to the Hessdalen case from, predominantly the 1980s, but obviously ongoing to some degree. And we actually witnessed this strange plasma orbs on this mountain that have been reported as far back as the 1600s. And so that's the only anomalous experience I have. And with our ongoing research, I still am leaning towards it having some kind of Earth-based explanation, but still on some anomalous kind of vibe as well.
Right. So for you, would you want that experience? I mean, I know you've kind of come from more the nuts and bolts of news, the governmental side of everything, but deep down, does Vinnie Adams really want to say, I witnessed a UFO landing, or I walked up on a craft, or I flew the craft, or whatever? Is that still the dream?
It is. And I say that honestly, because, after speaking with so many people on the podcast, and many who have had negative experiences, you think it would be enough to make me cautious about it. But at the same time, I just can't deny the fact that, yes, I want to see something, that's, when it's that clear in the sky that there's no doubting what it is, I want that sighting.
So would let's say it happened. Let's
Okay.
go hypothetical here for a second, because the beautiful time about a long form interview is we got time to get into this. You know, for you, if you had that experience, let's say you're walking through a park, you're on a hike through a park, and just it's a beautiful sunny day in say next July, and all of a sudden you look to your left and there is a craft on the ground. Have you thought about that scenario? What you would do, what you wouldn't do? Would you crap your pants? Would you run up to it? Would you give it a hug? Say, "Take me to your leader." What's Vinnie Adams' hypothetical story there?
I like to think I would be able to just straight away pull out my phone and capture that, or, all important video or photographic evidence. Let's say that I'm able to, great. The first people I wouldn't go up to it. I certainly wouldn't, unless it was in the distance and I'd want to get a bit closer, but I certainly wouldn't go right up to it. I think that would be, yeah, too scary. So once I'd obviously seen it for a good amount of time, I think the first people I would speak to would be my colleagues and friends at UAP Media UK. I wouldn't jump and run to Twitter or Instagram and start like going crazy. I've seen a UFO. I've seen it. I'd try and be logical about it, about how to approach it. But yeah, my colleagues at UAP Media UK, I would trust them to trust me. I've seen something. And if I have the photos, they can look at them. If I don't manage to capture it for whatever reason, then, I'd still go to them in confidence and say, I just saw something on the ground really close. There was no doubt of what it was. That's kind of the first starting point. And then I would obviously ask for advice on what to do from there, because, I wouldn't want to make any mistakes with that kind of, certainly an important sighting or moment in my life.
Let me tell you from experience, the first time it happens, you wish for it to happen again. The second time it happens, it's over too quickly before you can think about what to do.
Yeah.
Believe you me on that one. Vinnie Adams is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio from Disclosure Team over in the UK. You can always catch his podcast on any major podcast network. Vinnie, the love you have for this subject, you have, you know, you're passionate. You are somebody who absolutely lives, breathes UFOs, and I think it's wonderful. And I don't mean this as a kiss ass question or anything, because I'm not really that type of guy. But I'm curious for our fans' sake and our listeners' sake, knowing how rough the UFO community has been, especially in the last couple of years. How have you been kind of able to stay quiet? You don't cause a lot of controversy. You don't get into a lot of into the baiting that goes on, especially on Twitter. That seems to be a UFC ring at the best of times. You know, how do you stay straight? How are you able to stay focused through everything?
I mean, it's pretty clear when you do witness this kind of ongoing drama that you see on social media that there's never any kind of resolution to it. And it's almost just a waste of time because, it just is. I'm not here to try and convince anybody of anything. I'm here to do my work, put it out there. If people resonate with it, then great. If they don't, then they don't. I'm sure they'll go elsewhere to kind of find what they want to find. I'm too busy as well. I'm literally too busy to get into a tit for tat with someone online because at the end of the day, like a lot of people say, no one really knows all the answers. So I'm just here, just trying to do my best to push this subject forward. I'm an eternal optimist. I always believe that we will get some sort of answer in the future. Now, whether that answer turns out to be that UFOs are nothing to do with extraterrestrials or anything, then at least we got there. You know what I mean? So I will just keep going and just stay on the right path. I've got so many good people around me to help me with that.
No, I think that's wonderful. But it is tough. I don't think the people in the audience listening understand how tough it is, because you see one of your friends getting picked on, or you see, somebody who is just spreading absolute trash about people that you may know or you've talked to personally. I mean, how hard is it to stay out of the fight? Because, there are a lot of times I know where I'm just biting my tongue, just wanting to get on there, but you have to think of the betterment of your show, and the community, and what's best for it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. There are times, I've had people say horrible things about me that simply aren't true. But sometimes is it them projecting? Is it something that they're concerned about themselves? I don't know, but it's tough. It really is. I do think about it. I think, should I say more? Should I defend myself? But then I think it's the same old thing. Don't feed the trolls. They want that reaction. If people think I'm grifting, let's say people say, "Oh, he's just a grifter." I mean, I can tell everyone the sacrifices I've made to be in this position are big. I've taken a huge pay cut from my previous professional work to kind of do what I do. And I made that decision because I love this subject and I want to do what I can. I don't want to be an armchair researcher. I don't want to just sit back and demand answers from other people. I want to be putting in the work myself. And then I can at least say I tried to do something. So yeah, I mean, it's hard, man. It really is.
Okay, so in one of those controversies, this is where you and I are kind of at polar ends of the opposite, of the same stick. You're more nuts and bolts. I'm more woo, as you know. But I mean, where do you stand on it? Because there is a blend of both. We just haven't been able to find the middle of where they join yet. So where do you stand on? You got the scientists and the military all about the technology, where there's people like me wearing the tinfoil on the other side saying, hey, we got to get to them aliens. Give me some aliens here, man. Where do you stand on that?
It's funny because even the past 3 years, I say about 3 years ago, I sort of said to myself and a few friends, I said, I know there is a connection here between the two. There is a definite connection. I just can't find my in on that connection. I'm struggling with it. But luckily, I have started to kind of pull the two together. And I think that's how, through just doing interviews with so many different people and trying to open my own eyes up to this phenomena. It isn't like what I originally probably thought, that it's a nuts and bolts craft, these UFOs, that there's something completely bigger to this that's probably even hard to comprehend from a human perspective. We anthropomorphize these things too much and try and think of them on a human level. But I think there's something playing out here that is so interconnected between the woo, as you may call it, and consciousness and all of these things. This is why I think people say they see beings of light and not just physical entities. I think it's all interconnected, and so I'm way more open to that now. And yeah, I mean, I secretly watch all the podcasts that go into all the woo and that, and I'm lurking in the background trying to kind of just learn more.
Are you afraid to go too woo?
No, I'm not. I just don't want to I'm not ready to be that confident in public.
You know what? I will say this: if I wasn't an experiencer of my own, I probably would be with you on that. That is for sure. But it is a tight line because there are a lot of charlatans out there who are hoping for their 15 minutes of fame, a la Travis Walton or the late Calvin Parker, or looking forward towards Chris Bledsoe. There are people out there that want that. They want that attention. There's been a number of them over the years in ufology who've tried to, take advantage of the situation that is at hand because, in the end, you're playing on the woo side with more emotion than you are physics, chemistry, or anything to do with nuts and bolts. And I can understand where you're coming from too. Like, how did they get here? Where did they come from? How do they have technology far more advanced than ours? Is it ours? Is it not? I mean, it's a beautiful blend that we have to try and stop the argument with, and I think we're getting there slowly but surely. But for you, as you look into the subject and kind of try and find that balance point, there is a rationality that goes along with this. And I've heard from the background, I'm sure you have too, that right now it's not about the aliens because they don't think that the public is ready for aliens, outside of David Grush's comments that we could get into a little bit later. But just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, one thing I will say, and just almost following on from what you said before with the nuts and bolts and the woo, is that my focus is, like you said, been so much more on the military side of things, the government, and that I think I felt in the last few months that the experiences, it's their time to talk, and I think that we need to hear from more of that side. And I've been interviewing a few more experiences in the last few days and planning some more. And this thing about being ready, it's a difficult conundrum for me because I always think I'm ready. I can't speak on behalf of 8 billion people. I can't speak on behalf of the phenomena, whatever it is, to say whether they think we're ready or not. It's a really messy situation when it comes to that kind of thing. So I don't know. I don't really know what to say on that.
No, it's very tough subject to try and pace yourself on. And, I'm excited about the next half hour. We got less than 2 minutes to go here before we have to go to break. But I want to get into a lot of this governmental side that you are very strong with and capable with. You have spent a lot of time over the last few years cultivating relationships on both sides of the woo and the government military side. How did you get yourself into that? 90-second answer I need here.
I think, putting out such kind of, let's say, fair work with UAP Media UK. We don't over sensationalize anything, but I think we've kind of created a really good resource for people here in the UK. And of course, that's caught the eyes of a lot of people in the US as well. And, with the podcast as well and my other colleagues and their work, we've just formulated some really good connections with some really important people, and those relationships have turned into friendships on some scales as well. So that's really helped us. We have good advice from people behind the scenes as well in those situations, and I think that's it, the collaborations. And this is a global phenomena. Yes, all eyes are on the US, but it doesn't mean that people from other countries can't help in some way. I wish I could do it all here in the UK and be focused on the UK government all the time, but I can't. They're not talking.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, nobody's talking right now. It seems like the microphones have gone silent from the governmental side of everything, and we're all just waiting. I mean, we hear 2024 is supposed to be the year that starts to crack open again, and we will get into that with you, by the way, because I think that's an important part of the conversation to move it forward. And Vinny, I hate to do this, but we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour, and I can't believe half an hour is done already.
I know.
Hard to believe. That is flown on by. We're going to continue it here on Spaced Out Radio from the Disclosure Team podcast over in the beautiful United Kingdom. Vinnie Adams is here tonight on the big show as we try and break down what is being hidden in Washington, D.C. and around the world. It's a big subject. Very few will actually affect every single person on this planet. UFOs and potential ET life is definitely one of them. Spaced Out Radio continues with our second half hour right after this. Stay tuned. Hot damn, that was fast.
It was.
Oh, wow. You got a bunch of listeners that follow you in here, so I just want to kind of break them down. This may be their first time listening to us. We are a hybrid of a live radio show combined with a live podcast and a live YouTube channel. So we have to time everything out to our radio stations that cover our show. So if you don't mind, you get to kind of hear the behind the scenes of what we're talking about. Well, the radio people don't, because they're listening on the radio and you're not. So just wanted to let you know, if you're wondering, like, what the hell are they taking a break for? What kind of YouTube channel is, dude? I get it all the time, but you just bite the tongue. So just letting everybody know that this is on purpose, Thank you, Laura. I haven't interviewed a good Brit in a long time, man, because I forgot how stoic and how even keel you guys are.
Yeah, stuck in our old ways.
Yes. That's good though. I think it brings a modicum of rationality to it. I really do believe it does. All right. Cherry Pepsi Mike wants to know if you're wearing a Yankees hat or not.
I'm not. I'm wearing Atlanta Braves. I will say I'm not a fan of any particular team. I just have a multitude of hats. I'm a hat guy, so
1 second here. I'm only doing this because Cherry Pepsi Mike knows I'm a Yankee fan, but I also know where he's from.
Oh, right. Okay.
Mike.
What's that? Pittsburgh
there.
Pirates? Is it?
Right there. Look at this. It's like somebody sent me like a child's small hat, and like my head barely fits in an adult hat. It's so bloody large.
Someone's saying, Vinny, shows your hair again. It's a mess, and that's why I wear hats a lot.
All right. Who else has jumped in here? Mary R., how you doing? Welcome. Yes, and DB Nobody, welcome back. Toe Tag, good to see you. Excuse me, guys. Oh, yes. Here's my favorite. This was given to me by Pixie Lara in the chat room. She made me a nice little Canadian toque here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Aw.
I'm going to wear this tonight for you, Pixie Lara. Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you. How you doing, buddy? Susan Alloway, nice to see you. Yeah, nice and warm. It's getting cold here, man.
It is getting cold here.
What are you at right now?
We do Celsius, not Fahrenheit, so we're at probably. Oh, okay, cool. We are at. It's 9 degrees at the moment.
Oh, you're in a heat wave. You're in a heat wave. Hold on. Right now, outside it's 0, and snow is expected to fall.
Wow.
Yeah. Usually by now we have at least 1 foot to 2 feet of snow, and haven't got anything yet.
Yeah, but see, to me that's better because it's just gray and wet here. At least snow is white and pretty, and you can play in it.
I hear you. I hear you. Yep. Yeah. The only problem is it cuts off entry to my Sasquatch site.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That's the only problem. And then I got the other problem is the snow that falls, like once it starts to stick, it's here until April.
Yeah.
It doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like,
only
screw you.
it's only good for a few days, then it's just a nightmare.
Not here, man. Come to my house. You can have as many snowballs as you want. I will say this, though. You know what's really good? Is fresh snow with Fireball.
What, the drink Fireball?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I don't know what it is about the snow, but it tastes fantastic. Fireball and snow.
Wow. I'll have to remember that one.
Yeah. The ferret, how you doing? Yeah. Well, you got to go up to Mount Washington to get some good snow, the ferret. You should know that. But the southern island is terrible for snow. Ukrainian Anita, how are you? Here we go, everyone. Here's the second half hour. Second half hour, Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott, the host with the most tinfoil wrapped around, but you'll never see it because I'm always clothed. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join the Space Travelers Club on Patreon. From the popular UFO podcast disclosure team, host Vinnie Adams is up early in the UK, joining us to talk everything UFOs and UAP. Vinnie, thank you so much for being here, man. What a great show so far.
Oh, it's been good. It goes too quick, man. But yeah, it's my pleasure.
I want to get into the government side here because everybody knows that, you know, there's a cover up going on, that the NASA's lying, that they can't figure out who's going to run Arrow, let alone try and find a new acronym for that, whatever it is, that office. You know, then David Grush comes along. There's a lot going on right now in the last 10 months that has really turned the entire UFO world upside down. And now Sean Kirkpatrick stepping down. Is this a good thing for the Arrow program in getting rid of Dr. Kirkpatrick?
I didn't have as much of a problem with him as a lot of people. He kind of did come in to kind of start the office off. There was a lot of teething problems at first financially. There was the Title 10, Title 50 issues that he didn't have access to all the agencies and the information that he needed. So there was a lot of problems there. I do think it was time for him to move on. I think we could do better. And now that the office has moved out from OUSDI and is sitting under the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Kathleen Hicks, I think we'll get more freedom for them to actually get some work done. But I think a lot will rest as well on what happens towards the end of the year with the Schumer Amendment and also this Disclosure Act as well. If that all gets implemented, then we're kicking on all cylinders in early 2024.
Yeah, what is 2024? Let's get into that while we're here, because I've talked to insiders who are saying, I can't say anything, but 2024 is going to be a banner year, a golden year, a year of history in the making. And yet I'm sitting here thinking, how? You know, not to be rude, but okay, I've heard this before. I was supposed to be excited about 2020, 2021, 2022. 2023, I was not excited about. And then here comes 2024 and 2025, where we're supposed to get hyped up, right? I think right through 2030 now, you know, and by then, well, if the globalists have their way, we won't have any more gas-powered cars anymore. But nonetheless, where's these UFOs coming from? What is the story? What should excite us about 2024?
Well, me going into every year, like you say, I'm that eternal optimist that I mentioned earlier. I always stay positive. I think we're running on a few different avenues at the moment. Like I just mentioned, the kind of National Defense Authorization Act language is looking good. But we also, and I know people are frustrated with David Grush and how that story hasn't really progressed much since June, since when it broke. But with these I believe there's 50 plus witnesses come forward behind the scenes now, some in the legacy programs. That is an avenue worth keeping an eye on, because we may just well get some of them coming forward publicly in 2024, as well as David Grush, as promising more information from him as well. Now, I don't know how that's going to happen, because, he obviously approached DOPSA before he came out with all the stuff that he spoke about at the start of June. There's the amendment. There's a lot of people doing good work in this subject as well. There are always good researchers, and someone can just find that little tidbit of information that really helps us as well. I think researchers are kind of been pushed to the back burner a bit, while we always have this reliance on whistleblowers and people coming forward. A lot of good work is still being done on a lot of cases, some historic as well. So I kind of just keep looking in multiple directions and keeping my eye on everything. But I think, 2024 has the potential to be a good year. We'll see.
All right. What would make it a good year for you? If you could draw up exactly what you wanted to see happen in 2024. Look, we know we're not going to get aliens. We know we're not going to get a craft. And we are still more on a confirmation run than an actual disclosure run. What would make your year next year?
My year would be more whistleblowers to confirm or back up what David Grush is saying. That would be ideal. Then we haven't just got one voice to sort of to rely on. I think more, 2 or 3 together certainly paints a better picture for what the actual truth might be about crash retrievals and legacy programs. That would be great. For me personally, because I'm so focused on the government a lot, I think having the Schumer Amendment pass and the Disclosure Act put into play, having this 9-person group sitting under the executive branch would be a huge statement in itself before they've even done any work. I think, to have that put in place, I think would be a good start. Now, then we would have to see some proof from the pudding, let's say, about whether they actually do what they're sort of mandated to do. But again, it would be a start that I would like to see. I know a lot of other people in this community would probably have completely different answers to that question, but that's my take.
There's 2 things I want to see. Number one, I want to, and we'll get into both of these. Number one, I want to see David Grush get his day of happiness, okay, with more people supporting what he said. I think he I know there's a lot of people against him and against his word, thinking that he's grifting the topic, but I believe the man. And from people I have talked to on the inside, they'll tell you that there's nobody more honest than this guy who wants to get the truth out there. I mean, the bombs that he has dropped, I mean, we've been waiting for those bombs to drop. Now we just need the evidence that goes along with it. I hope that there are more witnesses that aren't afraid to take on the government the way he did, because the government can be a very scary thing. So let's talk about that first and foremost. I mean, if you're a whistleblower, why go public like Grush when you saw what happened to him and the way he and his family have been attacked in the media and from other government officials and agencies?
Yeah, you've got to be tough in this. You've got to have, a bit of backbone. And, we use the term whistleblower in this respect, slightly different than I think we see like Snowden and them kind of whistleblowers. David Grush is a whistleblower because he's followed the whistleblower amendments, the law that's set out in the NDAA relating to the UAP. It's not your typical whistleblower, because people say, well, how is he a whistleblower? He's not really brought any information or evidence forwards. He's just saying things. So I get that. I just want to clarify that, he is still a whistleblower, but only when it comes to the language in the NDAA. We do need more coming forward. And I think some people are probably going to be hesitant to step forward because of what they've seen happening with Grush. But Grush is tough. I've had the pleasure of speaking to Grush on the phone, and he's in it. He's in it because he's following the procedures. He's got the ongoing investigations with the ICIG, and he's seeing this right through to the end. But let's just hope that people will kind of jump on board with him and, take a bit of the pressure off.
Yeah. What's it like talking to the man? I have heard that from people who know him and have chatted with him frequently, that he's just a nice guy. He, like, you wouldn't expect him. You don't get that chip on the shoulder. He doesn't have that Lou Elizondo toughness that Lou portrays, every time he does an interview. But what's it like chatting with him?
It's really good. He's a super nice guy. It's funny you said Lou there, 'cause it was myself, Lou Elizondo, Graham Rendell, and Chris Sharp were having dinner in London, and Lou just said, "Oh, let's call Dave Grush," and so we kind of put him on speakerphone and all had a chance to kind of talk with him, and he was just super nice, and he just reiterated that he's in this for the long run. He appreciates all the words of support from people out there on social media, and the people that have been lucky enough to actually speak to him. It really pumps him up for it.
Right. And I could see that. I could totally see that. You know, I still think though, and I'm sure you're in the same boat because you've got kind of pre-mentioned it. We're still 2 to 3 whistleblowers away from actually confirming everything that Grush has said up to this point. But there is a fact too that at some point, many in the UFO community are tired of words. They're tired of hearsay. They're tired of anecdotal evidence. I don't see that evidence coming out. It's too important to the United States government. How do we find that blend of the fact that here we have these very important people coming out telling us about this, but they just can't go to News Nation or Disclosure Team or Spaced Out Radio and say, by the way, here's the photographs, here's where the bases are located, here's where the alien bodies are. They just can't do that.
It's tough. It's really tough because everyone wants to see it. I want to see it just as much as everyone that gets super frustrated on Twitter or wherever. But what I find is when those frustrations start to creep in, I'll disappear into some research I'm doing on a case historically, maybe shift my focus, because I'm not just going to sit back and wait for that information. That's when the frustration really kicks in. And I get it that not everyone can just turn off and switch off or do something else, but that's what keeps me going, having the conversations with as many people as I can privately. Sometimes you are able to have conversations which you can't have publicly, let's say. So there's many different things, but I try and keep my balance and keep that focus on the subject, but then like I said, break away from that UFO government aspect and go somewhere else and dip back in every now and again and just try and balance things off so I don't drive myself crazy.
Have you talked to whistleblowers that haven't gone public yet because of what Grush has gone through?
No.
Have you talked to other whistleblowers?
And I've not who have worked on crash retrieval or legacy programs. No.
Okay, this leads to my second part that I would like to see in 2024. I think people like David Grush, Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, I think that they are getting a rough ride with the evidence right now because there is no evidence as far as the public is concerned. We don't know what's been handed to Congress. We don't know what photographs, videos, or other important pieces of paper have crossed their desk. Yet we have, whether it's Congressperson Luna, whether it's Congressman, whether it's Congressman Tim Burchett and others, we keep hearing the word transparency. And I think that word transparency is really killing and dividing the UFO subject at hand because you have people that are putting their reputations and their knowledge on the line publicly, getting in some cases, like we just mentioned with David Grush, absolutely brutalized online. And yet nobody is sticking up for them. And yet they have the nerve to use the word, we got to be transparent about this subject. Like, how much of a BS line is that?
It does. It gets bandied about way too much. I mean, the focus needs to be on getting all the pieces of the puzzle set in place to be able to do the investigations, to do the work. Congress need to be in the right place. They need to be in the skiffs having these meetings, not all this political nonsense that keeps, you haven't got the clearance for this, or we need to shut down the government for a week or two, or whatever happens. It needs to play out. The procedures need to be in place. And we have to remember from Grush's point of view, with his ongoing Inspector General investigation, his hands are tied to some degree as well. I mean, I'm sure Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon and them have access or have seen videos and other evidence that might take the subject a bit more forward in the public eye. But again, they have their hands tied with NDAs and things like that. And people say, NDA, NDA, like who cares? This will change the world. Just drop it out there. I mean, it's very easy for people to say that when they're not in that position, that it's so serious. So it's hard to say people need to be patient because we've been patient for 90 years. But unfortunately, there's only so much that can be done or expected of other people to be done. And this is, again, why I will go back to my research in other areas to bide the time, feel like I'm actually doing something rather than just sitting back and just demanding something of people that I know I'm not going to get.
So where does that demand have to go then?
Congress. I mean, this is why there's been a lot of activism pushes recently to actually contact your local representatives. That's the very least that people can do if they really want to see something, because in numbers we have strength. It's that same old cliche. Let's put this on the desks of the people that actually have some power to a degree. And that's happening here in the UK. I dare say there's a lot of people pushing for it in Canada as well. You're very lucky in Canada. You have Larry Maguire being very vocal on this. We have nobody in our government. So we've got to keep putting the pressure on, because the moment someone tries it and then after a few weeks they give up, nothing's going to happen. So pressure can come from the general public.
Well, I'm going to be having words with my own member of parliament. And I know you heard that interview I did with Larry Maguire, which is still the longest form interview he's done on the subject in the last couple of years. What pisses me off about my member of parliament is he is the shadow critic to the Ministry of Defense. And right before he got elected, he came into my daytime office and I said, "What do you know about UFOs?" And he was like, not much. Is this a serious question? I said, it's a dead serious question. At that time, I was kind of keeping quiet that I was the guy who set up the conversation between Lou Elizondo and Larry Maguire and that entire meetup. And it was kind of funny because he was like, well, I said, look, you got my vote. Okay. I said, but you need to take this subject seriously, and I'm going to be calling you on it. He's never returned a call or an email from me yet. And so when we go into election time, which should be hopefully soon, but could be as long as 2025, when they do their public forums, I'm going to get them there. I'm going to get them. Yeah. Because they usually do one of the sit down with the candidates around our area, right? So I'm going to be there and I'm going to be like, hey, remember me, the idiot with the UFOs? Let's have a chat here. No, but seriously, getting to elections, more important election is next year. The United States goes to election in November. And I don't see UFOs being a real hot button topic. I think it'll be touched on, but I don't see it going anywhere. The economy is too bad. There's too many hot spots around the world. And, just your thoughts on how the U.S. election might be for any type of movement in the disclosure or confirmation of UFOs.
Yeah, I think it's worrying to some degree that if we get to that time next year and we're still not really any further with any of the current kind of things that are happening with the Grush thing and the new legislation actually doing some good, I think we're going to hit next November and we're going to just plateau and we're going to sit still for a few months until 2025. I think that's just being realistic. I'd like to think that the UFO subject could be picked up by one of these, presidential candidates and talked about, and they could be the disclosure president, but that's just not realistic in my eyes. So I think this is why 2024 needs to kickstart really fast and we gain some real serious momentum so that by next November, the train is not going to stop, kind of thing. So we will see. I'm positively optimistic, but I'm not afraid to be wrong at the same time.
What would have to happen to make the UFO subject really in play when it comes to UFOs? I mean, look, there's a reality to this. I mean, to us, it's the most important topic ever and probably in humanity. But the reality is there's people who, more people than ever that are starving on the streets. There's more people ever that are unemployed. There's more people ever, who are virtue signaling any type like we do with UFOs. I mean, there's a lot of hot button topics around there. How do you get UFOs back to the one of the top spots of importance?
It's a very good question. Like you mentioned, some very sensitive and important topics there, which affect people on a daily basis. And so I wouldn't expect that to go under the radar or be brushed aside just for UFOs. I certainly wouldn't do that. I'm hoping that the UFO thing can run on its own path without disrupting any other kind of area of interest or importance. What I'd like to see, we had the hearings with David Grush and with the House subcommittee on the Oversight Committee. I want to see hearings from the Senate with the Armed Services Committee and the Intel committees, get some real traction, people from the Gang of Eight involved. Let's ramp it up to the next level where people are subpoenaed to speak under oath, whether in a skiff privately, but certainly some information for the public as well. I mean, that really caused a buzz. It got a lot of people talking all around the world as well. And even if it doesn't give us any real big kind of smoking gun information at the end of it, the fact that these conversations are happening everywhere around the world because of something like that is very important for me personally. I would drop my daughter off at school and people in the playground, mums would come up to me and go, I saw this in the newspaper about it, and they're having the UFO conversation. I think that's going to take us a long way when it comes to reducing the stigma and killing it once and for all in the public domain. So so many things like that I think are just as important as everything else.
Oh, true enough. But I mean, I think the UFO subject, though, as we have about, just a couple minutes here to go before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. I think it's one of those things, Vinny, where we have a lot of people out there who are I'm going to use the term virtue signaling again in politics, that they are taking this subject seriously, that they are taking it as seriously as we have prayed for years, and then we throw in, a lot of these buzzwords that are in there, like we're going to go for disclosure. And damn it, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. I mean, how many times have we heard Tim Burchett talk tough and then fold right in the middle of a conference, but then come right back in front of the camera, say, damn it, we got to get our ways going here. I mean, are they just virtue signaling to the UFO crowd, or do these guys and everybody actually care?
That's a good question, and I can only really speculate on that. I think we've seen some straight up honesty out of some of them, maybe very little. I don't know. I mean, it's easy for me being outside of the US. I'm not involved in which party to vote for and that, so I can almost be a neutral outsider. And I think we have some genuine people wanting to get to the bottom of this, not necessarily just to please the UFO community or anything, but for genuine concerns on national security. We had some very bold questions being asked in the first hearing in front of Moultrie and Bray, because it seems like there's a lot of incompetence when it comes to this subject as well, being dealt with, especially in the Department of Defense. People like Moultrie and Bray should have had answers on Malmstrom. They should be able to at least be aware of cases like that. So there's a lot of disconnect. And I know there's a lot of internal battles between Congress and the DoD on a multitude of subjects, but I expect that the UFO subject is probably being taken seriously. But of course, we want way more of it, and we want more representatives to step forward and throw their hat in the ring.
No, that's true. That is very true. So how do we get there, though? I think that is the big point, because we as a UFO community have never been louder than we have in the last 5 years. It has caused people to take notice on the subject matter, and the fact that it's made it to DC and into the mouths of the presidents, whether it was Obama, whether it was Trump, whether it's Biden now. The fact is they have talked about it. But I mean, if anybody thinks that there's actually going to be a president who is allowed to disclose, that's another one.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to say what we can do more of. People can still push their representatives. At the moment, I wish I had more answers and more positive kind of steps for people to take. Contact your representatives, but don't just contact them once. Keep at them, email them, write them letters. I think another thing that people could probably do with is let's stop all the harassment when we don't get our own way. People harassing these people within the DoD and Kirkpatrick and doxing people. Like, I mean, that can't help us as a community look good in front of the people that can have the power to kind of help us with this subject. So even if it's baby steps, I think, take those baby steps and it might lead to something further down the line.
I fully agree. And it's a matter of where it's going to go and where does the subject matter go? What is next? Because if they don't act now and move forward on what David Grush has said about about this subject, then we're not going to move forward at all. And we'll get into that when we return on Spaced Out Radio for hour number 2, because with Vinnie Adams from Disclosure Team, Power Show of UFO Talk tonight, we are going to get into the pilots, the craft. Where are they? Do they really want to make it happen? Do they really want to bring any type of disclosure movement forward? We will be back on Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, Vinny, I'm going to take a quick break here. I'm going to put you back in the green room. We'll be right back, okay?
No worries. I'll take a break to hit the rest.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes here. All right. Be right back, people. All right, I'm back. Wiruna, how you doing? AZ Watts, how you doing, buddy? No, I do not have a new chair. No, I don't. All right. Bring Vinny back. Man, this is a lot of fun tonight, man.
It's great. I love these. These are the kind of conversations I like to have in the pub. It feels like that kind of, you know.
Yeah, all we need is some good beer and make things really happen.
Some fireball and snow.
Dude, try it. I'm serious. I'm serious. You will be thanking me for that.
Oh, I'm down. It sounds good.
Hey, I just want to say a big thank you tonight to Lara *2, Rob, Michael, T-Bone, Benji, and Jennifer for the wonderful super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do when we broadcast each and every night for you. Also, to all our fans, shop at our website, spacedoutradio.com, and we will make things happen there because we got nice swag. We don't have ugly swag there. And everybody is invited, everyone, including Vinny, if he wants to fly on over, to our third annual SOR fan party. It is not a conference. It is a party get-together. We're going to do a live show, have a VIP night where we get all of our favorite guests that you hear on this show. We're gonna see them in Reno. They're all coming to hang out with you. And we got a live show. We got the VIP party, a live ghost tour, and a UFO Skywatch with Melinda Leslie. And then, of course, the Sunday, if you head home, you're heading home fun. And we got VIP swag bags and everything to go along with it. Rooms at the Silver Legacy Casino Resort are on sale right now, so make sure you book in for that weekend. Here we go with hour 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ballistophobia. Ballistophobia is your password. So use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Vinnie Adams from Disclosure Team Podcast is with us, and we are making it happen here on Spaced Out Radio, talking about everything UFO, and we're having a lot of fun tonight. Vinny, thank you so much for staying up late in the UK. It's early morning where you are, and being with us for our audience here in North America.
Wouldn't miss it.
No, that's great. That's great. Now, right before the break, we were talking about two things that I do not believe have been focused a lot on. People have talked about it, but I don't think they focused on it. And that is when David Grush kind of came out and stated about the crashes, that we have full intact craft, pieces of craft, but more so the bodies. This is something that I think is, I mean, the minute he said that, the entire world should have jumped on that news, but we didn't. What was your thoughts when that came out, first and foremost?
Yeah, that was like you said, it was big. You know, the craft thing is huge in itself, but that's taken it to almost another step up, isn't it? When you're talking about the occupants, because when I think about occupants of these craft, and I think about all the different experiences over the years who have talked about what they've seen, and you know, we're talking about such a vast range of different types of being, types of entity, humanoids, bugs, and all these types. So it begs the question, are there actually like hundreds of different species of extraterrestrials out there, or is this something completely different? Is this one type of non-human intelligence that is projecting various different images into different people's psyche during these experiences. And this is where I have to go kind of uber speculative, because I just simply have no idea. But I love this. I love going into that kind of thing, and it should be talked about more. I think a lot of people, when I've had this conversation, have said, look, let's figure out what these craft are first, then we can go into asking the questions of who's in them, what do they want, why are they here, what's their intent, and all of that. But there's nothing wrong with kind of speculating about it at the same time.
Well, I mean, we could speculate, and let's go down that speculation road, because when he throws out words like that, that's where there's no longer time for speculation. It's time for, what do you mean? Where are these projects? Where are they hiding? Who knows about these? And I'm surprised that there hasn't been more pressure on trying to find out who has the bodies. Namely, my personal belief is they are out of the government's hands, in some sort of private sector hands, so that way they are void of any type of FOIA request to find out where they are. Are you thinking along the same things as well?
Absolutely. I mean, if these objects have been in the aerospace private corporations' hands for some time, they're not in the white, certainly, but I don't even think they're in the black. They're in a gray area that is buried so deep on a multi-level special access program that is so hard to find, so compartmentalized. The people that will be involved and working in it won't be on a hierarchy level. It'll be on a strict need to know. Half the people in there won't know what the other person's doing as well. It's so difficult to pin down. And I think that's why it's important that eminent domain is in this new language that we see, that if that's passed, then the US government certainly has the power to take control of this. The only problem is they've got to find it first. And so there's a lot of difficulties in this, a lot of complications. I don't know how it's going to play out, but it's true. These things, if they are out there, they are in the possession of private entities and buried so deep.
They are buried deep. Do you think the public has any understanding of how deep this subject is buried?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to say that the public doesn't know or can't comprehend it, but I just would say to everybody, think about how deep it is, and then times it by another 10 or another 100, because it's so hard to find. There are very few people in positions of power who have even got close to it. If you take into account the Wilson Davis memo and things like that, they got close. Admiral Wilson got close, got denied, even though he was in a position where you'd think that someone of his authority would have access to this. And it just goes to show that he didn't have a need to know, just the way most presidents don't have a need to know.
Really? Why do you think this subject is still on a need to know basis if everybody's talking about it aloud?
I mean, I don't think it should be on a need to know basis. I think that we have a lot of old guard, what I'd call the old guard of the military and the military industrial complex, who have still got some kind of power over these projects. And I think that that's slightly slipping from their grasp, with just through time and pure age of a lot of these people are probably, dying off. And I think that's kind of helping it come to the surface a little bit. But we can either wait for all of these people to die and just wait for it to come out that way, or we can just keep hoping that there are people in power who are actually, like we said earlier, are they serious, these people in Congress, in the Senate and everything? Are they serious about getting to the bottom of this? Can they find where it is? Is it outside of oversight? How far out of oversight? Is it in the Department of Energy? These are all, and how long has it been there? The Atomic Energy Commission post World War II, did they have this kind of technology? Were they the one? These are all the questions that I'm constantly asking and don't have the answers to.
Yeah, we're all waiting for them. We are all waiting for them. And I don't know whether or not these are answers that we are ever going to get. I mean, if I were to ask you point blank, why the secrecy? What's the Vinnie Adams version of the secrecy? Why is it as tight as it is?
I think my initial answer would be this world has been built so highly around the petrodollar economic system that I think the people in control of that would, obviously lose their power over this planet. Everything revolves around that. They don't want to lose their grip, these 1%ers or whatever you want to call them. I think that's where it comes from. And then a lot of these political people have benefited from financial donations for many, many years, for their political parties, for their whatever it is. They've been in the pockets of these people. I think that all needs to change. I don't know how it's going to change.
See, the one thing that I see about it, and I could be completely wrong, is a lot of people out there will say, well, that's just a conspiracy theory about the 1%ers. I mean, but you look at medicine. A healthy society is not a profitable society. And that gets into even more conspiracy about it. When I look at UFOs, I look at it a little bit different. I'm curious your thoughts on this, okay? Because I see it as this. I don't see it as the 0 point energy or anything like that. I think the United States government has so many secrets regarding this subject that if it did come out, the laws that have been broken, the people who are involved could be arrested, tried, whether it's for treason or other things. Never mind the fact that we don't even know, my friend, that let's just say hypothetically that some of these woo theories are correct, that they did trade humans for technology. What does that do? That something like that could bring the government down, and they're trying to sway that from happening. That's what I think has happened. And like I said, that's pure tinfoil. I get that. But until it's proven wrong, we have to use that as a potential as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. And that's the thing. We just don't know. And so I think that every theory has to remain on the table until it's been proven that it can be taken off. And then, there's always that obvious one of maybe they just don't understand what they're dealing with, that admitting that they have it would be like admitting that they cannot protect their own people. It would be an embarrassment. The national security reasons. We cannot control these things. We don't understand them. They can come in here and fly with impunity and all of that stuff. And we just don't know anything. It could be that just a fear of embarrassment.
Is it embarrassment, though, or is it the fact that the military industrial complex has ruled for so long that as long as the Americans have their cold beer on a hot day, their good music, their great movies, their football, their baseball and basketball, because they don't really recognize hockey down there like we do. But you look at it and you think, geez, if we keep the dream of the house with a white picket fence going, they won't really ask any questions about what we're doing. And here's these annoying UFO people like mosquitoes who just keep pushing the envelope.
Yeah, absolutely. If they can get away with it, then and they've been getting away with it for so long, then why not continue that? Of course, it's another possibility. Maybe they want to weaponize it, and until that they have successfully weaponized it, they won't say anything. Until they've got the monopoly on it, and they can the US can confirm themselves yet again as the biggest superpower on this planet. Maybe they won't say anything until then. Again, these are all very valid and potential reasons as to why. I just don't know.
I'm going to throw out some conspiracy theories out there just to see what you believe regarding this subject and to get your opinion on them.
Okay.
Do you believe the United States government, like many have said prior, is in touch with UFO and extraterrestrial species?
No, I don't. There's not been enough evidence. I do like data. I like more than just old wives' tales, which I feel that is kind of where we're at when it comes to treaties and things like that.
Do you think that the United States government is controlling the UFO story around the world, especially through the Five Eyes?
Oh, that's a more difficult one. Maybe not controlling it around the world, definitely controlling it within the Five Eyes Alliance. Absolutely. They have the kind of lead on that. And that's for sure. Because we know that these meetings are happening. I can say a bit more about that, but Yeah, I don't think they're leading in the world though, because there are other countries like Russia, Brazil, who are big on this subject, and I do believe that they have more knowledge than they've spoken about as well. They could easily be a disclosure country if they wanted to be.
Out of everybody that you have talked to, do you feel that there are more experiencers in Washington that are pushing this subject than what the public may even know about?
Yes.
Find that a little bit more.
I can't. I've had a couple of conversations about that. I mean, I've had. Yeah, I can't really say much about that.
Is that because you've been told things privately that people have seen?
Yeah, it's not
I
my
think,
place. It's not my place to break that kind of that promise either. As much as I wish I could.
yeah, I think I know who you're talking about there. But okay, so let's continue on here with these conspiracy theories that are out there. Okay, do you believe then that the United States government is in control of extraterrestrial craft?
Craft, yes. Whether it's extraterrestrial, I wouldn't like to put that label on it, but craft, yes. And when you say control, I'm not necessarily convinced that they've successfully reverse engineered anything at all, but I believe that they're in possession.
Okay, do you think then that the United States government knows who's being taken?
No, I don't think so. Maybe to some degree. I mean, it's a touchy subject. If you think about military abductions and MILAB cases, then it would suggest that they're aware of who's being taken because they're a part of it. But I couldn't say for certain.
Okay. Do you believe then that there are secret UFO bases in the United States?
No, I don't.
Okay, perfect. Do you believe there's a secret space program?
No,
So you believe that all these black triangles that are being seen are of an anonymous source and not of any human technology?
If some of them are human technology, then I would think that you hear stories of them floating low and silent over. You don't see them all shooting off at hyperspeed. Maybe there is some headway being made in reverse engineering. I'm willing to be open to that. I'm not convinced that we have completely replicated the full capabilities of these objects to perform such crazy maneuvers. I don't think we're there yet, but I don't know. These are just my thoughts at the moment. It could change next week.
What do you think is being hidden in places like Area 51?
I don't necessarily think there's anything being hidden in Area 51 specifically. I think if there is secret technology being hidden, then it is like what David Grush said. It is multiple craft that have been collected over the years, over the decades, some potentially from archaeological digs. If that story turns out to be true, it wouldn't surprise me. It does make sense that these things have potentially been here for millennia, if they're so advanced. I mean, I'd like that to be the case. I don't know.
What question does Vinnie Adams have that maybe the public doesn't know? What is something that is on your bucket list of finding out about this phenomena?
Oh my goodness, that's a tough one. Very good question. I'd like to know who's known about this as much as the Americans. What other countries have been as aware as what the US knows? I want to know to what level. I want to know about especially the UK. I know that they've been involved in this subject very deeply since the post World War II. I want to know more. I want to know more.
Okay, this one is a little bit of a controversial conspiracy question that I have for you.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, I actually want to know the answer to this one. Why has many of these involved American people within the UFO community really taken a liking towards the UK media, such as yourself, rather than many people in their own country?
I don't know. I don't really, can't really speak on behalf of those individuals. I think one thing I will say about the work that we do here at UAP Media is we just try and put out as good information as we can without any kind of angle behind it. Like, we're not trying to say this is that and that's not that. We just try and put the information out as we know it and let people decide for themselves. And we put it out in a reasonably well presented format. No sensationalizing. There's too much of that here in the national press already. So we just try and put it out in a nice way, you know?
There's a reason why I asked that, because I have talked to a number of people, both in the UK and in the US, about this, that it seems like and I mean this with all due respect, that every big name person in this field seems to have a Brit, what they call a Brit, with them. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I mean, we get around.
So, but do you not find it a little bit ironic that somebody such as yourself, okay, no offense, you're not a member of the mainstream media,
Mhm.
you're a UFO guy, and here you are talking with big wigs with pull in Washington D.C. about UFOs, and yet you can't. It, and it's not just you, Vinny. I've talked to numerous British people about this and UK people about this. Yet you can't get an insider in your own country. I find that like is there I don't want to say is there a game being played or something being tested out here, but I know the frustration you have and many others have, that the UK government, the British government, is being extremely tight-lipped about this subject for whatever reason. They don't want to talk about it. They're like the United States Air Force. And even when it has come up in question period or other places or in the House of Lords, it gets shot down quite quickly, even though there are people out there who want to talk about this that are elected officials. So, how does that affect what you do, that you know more of the story of what's going on in North America through the sources you've created, yet those same sources are damn near impossible to create within the UK government?
I mean, there are sources over here. I mean, I don't like to put emphasis on anonymous sources. I know it frustrates a lot of people in the community, so I tend not to talk about it that much. But there are sources talking privately, not necessarily within the government, more so on the side of the Ministry of Defence. And they're not talking a lot, but we know that these conversations are happening. There is interest in the UFO subject. Um, yes, we'd like it to be more public, and that's what we're trying to push for. But you see, when we try and contact members of parliament, they direct us back to the Ministry of Defence. And when you go through the Freedom of Information request, you get the boilerplate responses that the UK government takes into account all incursions into our airspace. We take it seriously, and it's literally copied and pasted every time. So it's nice that people are starting to talk privately. I think we'll see more of it in the coming years. And I say years because it's at that slow pace. Why they're talking to us and not the media, I think independent, non-biased podcasts seem to be the thing that people want to do and not trust the media anymore. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just glad people are talking to me. That's all I can say.
No, and I can appreciate that, as we got about a minute to go here before our break at the bottom of the hour. Not saying it out of jealousy or anything like that, but because we do have a lot of the same sources.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will admit, I believe you have a ton more sources than I do on this. From the angle that you go compared to the angle that I go, and we need that. We totally need that. But is it tough for you being, in the know when you have to play a game you've never played before? Like, hey, don't repeat this. Hey, don't talk about this. Because as a media member, I know what that's like. You're not a media member, but this is a game you're being forced to play.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tough, to be honest. It is. It's hard. I think people automatically think that you're withholding like vital evidence that can really make a difference to if it was made public. That's not the case. It is more to sort of help us in the work that we're doing, push forward and do better to be able to get the information out to the public. I'm not told things that are groundbreaking or real big revelations when it comes to the UFOs themselves. It's more just advice and help along the way. It's very difficult, but this is what I signed up for, and I'm willing to see it through.
Disclosure Team podcast host Vinnie Adams. We're going to go into the next hour. We're going to take some audience questions because I know they are building up in our YouTube chat. It's been a great show so far. One you're probably going to want to rewind. Spaced Out Radio's archives are always free. We continue right after this. Hi, Simon in Australia. How you doing? Dude, we're on a rock and roll effort here right now. I hope I didn't put you in an uncomfortable place there.
Not at all. I'm happy to answer any question as best I can. Honestly, I don't mind at all.
Man, even I've got a Brit, okay? Just so you know. Just so you know. I had to find a Brit, but I got one. Just at a pub somewhere right now.
Nice. Very nice.
I think, and to expand on that, I have a theory why. Because you guys know how to keep a secret. Whereas many people over here don't understand how to keep secrets anymore. And I believe that's why.
I can see why you think that. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like a person, no, but on a person's word really isn't as good as it used to be. Like all of us have our flaws, but when it comes to if we use the term journalism or citizen journalism or whatever you want to call it, I mean, you guys have kept your mouth shut for a better term of understanding. Whereas many people over here, oh yeah. Like I know one person feeds a couple of shows just because he knows it's going to get out.
Right.
And he can tell those people absolutely anything. And it's not going to slip out in the first 2-3 weeks. But after that, it's going to slip.
Yeah. You see, you only have these chances once. And I wouldn't burn a source to make myself look special in any way on Twitter, for example. I mean, what's the point? You're going to lose access to sources, to information. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. I want to talk sources with you as well, coming up here.
Okay. I don't know how much I can say about that.
No, we're not going to get into sources, but the importance of keeping sources.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you don't, you're dead. Not dead physically, but you're doomed to I guess the UFO. I understand the UFO. We can get into it now.
Yeah.
The UFO community doesn't really understand that if you out your source, and I understand that they always call name names. Who are these sources? So I'm supposed to give up my line of information to satisfy 10 people, or I can gratify hundreds of thousands by just keeping my lips shut. And that information continues to flow. That person or persons continue to take my call. What's more important?
Yeah.
Right?
It's very, very simple.
Yeah.
And that's it. You burn a source, you're done. You're done in this subject at the very least. People won't trust you ever again. You're back to square one. That's it.
Absolutely. And it's hard because you want to say things.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told things that I want to say, and like for instance, I'll give you a prime example. Okay. I held on to the secret for 2 years about getting Elizondo and members of Canadian Parliament together. I said nothing I knew nothing about what happened in that media or that meeting. Still don't. None of my business. But the main thing is I set up the conversation, and I took that chance in order to get further information. Okay, because and Elizondo is actually the one that outed me on my show.
There you go.
I guess he felt it was safe enough to do that.
Yeah.
So he made the call. I didn't. And I just sat there, thanks. Right? So, but I mean, the fact is, nobody knew. Nobody knew. And nobody was going to find out. Right? Because I didn't want to step on those toes.
And that's the thing as well. Releasing information before things have come to fruition can damage the process of what might actually be going on with that information that you're privy to. There have certainly been situations in the last couple of years for me whether that's been the case.
100%. We got 18 seconds. Thank you to our super chatters. T-Bone ×2, Pixie Lara ×2, Peter and Jennifer, Rob, Michael, and Benji for the super chats. And we're going to get going here with the next half hour, everybody. We've passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can listen to us on every major podcast network, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and so much more. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. We continue with Vinnie Adams here from Disclosure Team Podcast, one of the best podcasts in the world regarding UFOs. We're glad to have him here for the first time. Vinnie, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure, man. This is a great conversation. Really enjoying it.
All right, let's get to some audience questions here because they are building up. Got a couple from Eli here. Vinnie, I know you're more nuts and bolts, but how have you adapted to the woo side, abductions, downloads, etc.?
Just by diving in, having the conversations with friends in the community, followers in the community. I've got a lot of good colleagues here that follow me over on Instagram. We've got a little community over there, and I simply ask questions out of curiosity. How do I find out more? And so it's just, not being afraid to kind of start connecting the dots between the nuts and bolts and the woo. And it's going good.
You like it?
I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I can get on board with it. What I needed to realize was that I could take it all on. I don't need to believe anything. I can kind of hold it at arm's length, and then I can focus on one aspect of it and maybe do a bit of research on that and see whether it takes me anywhere. And if not, I can pull back out of that rabbit hole and go down another one. And so I'm just taking my time. But yeah, I'm seeing more and more connection, let's say.
Once you go woo, you can never go back, right? I'm going to ask this question, but I'm going to change it a little bit because I think it's a relevant but irrelevant question. This is a follow-up from Eli asking, are you religious? But that's irrelevant to the cause. I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to reformat it. And that would be, what do you think current religion plays in the UFO story? Has it any pull?
Yeah. I'm starting to think more and more that the religious kind of connections to the UFO subject might be bigger than I probably first thought when I entered this subject and was researching from a nuts and bolts perspective. I think there may be some answers somewhere within religion, whether it be things such as the Vatican archives, that they've been aware of this more than they've let on. I just think there is something there. And, you know, I've been looking at the religious aspect a lot more recently. I've been looking in the Bible, looking to see, you know, if there's any connections. I've spent a lot of time recently reading Diana Pasulka's work. I interviewed her a couple of weeks ago, so I went back over her old book, American Cosmic. I read a new book a couple of times, and so I'm in that kind of thing at the moment where I am thinking about religion a lot more. So it's certainly interesting. I think there's something to it.
I think that that's one of the biggest issues that we have in the circle of life when it comes to UFOs is how is this going to affect the half of this population plus? Because whether we like it or not in Western Europe or in North America, the rest of the world is still extremely religious. And you know, whether it's Catholics or whether it's Muslims or whether it's Buddhists or Christians or whoever, they still have a lot of pull in government. And it's sad to say because I don't believe government and spirituality should mix, you know, but that's a personal choice that I've made. But I mean, I think when you have people who are still, you know, trying to say that everything that comes from space or everything is out to kill us, and this is the start of revelation, I think that's something to be worried about. I know from having that conversation around here with some of my friends who go to church here, you know, they don't like me talking about these subjects because I'm influencing devilish and demonic behavior. And I think it has a lot more pull in government and with politicians than what we actually think.
Yeah, I think you're right there to a certain point. I mean, again, going back to Diana Pasulka, when I spoke to her, I sort of said, you know, what would be, how would religions take it? And she said that they would be way more accepting. It wouldn't destroy religion or anything like that. The overall big picture religions would be more accepting of another species under God, let's say. Whereas I think if you think about your fundamentalists and your more kind of you know, the kind of how do I say it in a nice way, the extremist parts of religion might struggle with it. I don't know. It's still very new to me, so I don't want to sort of speak out of turn about any particular religion or part of religion. But I think we'd be surprised at how much they actually accept it, and actually have spoken about accepting it already, especially in Catholicism. And you look at the Vatican and the Pope, that they've actually talked about this before.
Yeah, and once again, we don't say it as you know, and I'm saying this as a disclaimer. It's not to put down religion or
Sure.
people who are religious. It's a part of the topic because no matter what, the religion is going to be a part of disclosure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have, you know, same as the economy is going to be a part of disclosure. I remember, and my audience has heard me say this. I don't know if you've ever had this conversation with Lou Elizondo, but I did, and I asked him point blank one day. I said, "Were you guys watching the way people were treating each other during COVID? Because that would be a good litmus test if aliens arrived." And
Uh,
he said, "Yes, we were." Did you have that conversation with him?
I didn't, but it's definitely the kind of thing I can imagine Luce sort of
And
talking about.
he literally said, "We were concerned with what we saw." You know, people ratting out people for not wearing masks, people ratting out people for going to work, people, you know, following people and the violence and the verbal violence that was starting with everything. There was great concern over that. And all of a sudden, if you turn the attention to something that's truly going to affect every single person on this planet, like a potential extraterrestrial contact, my God, how are people going to react? And that was brought up in conversation.
Yeah, I can believe that. Absolutely. These are serious thoughts to consider when thinking about disclosure. Absolutely. And I think that may play into the reason why people say we're getting some kind of drip disclosure at the moment, because you drop too much too quick, it's going to cause uproar in some degree, chaos in parts.
Absolutely.
So I can see that. That makes sense. Absolutely.
Let's go to Marty here. What part of the UK do you come from?
I actually come from the Midlands, but I live in the north now. I've been here for 20 years in Sheffield.
Wow. Favorite soccer team?
Ooh. I don't actually have one. I do follow soccer. I suppose in the city here we have two, Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday. I'm going to go with Sheffield United.
Well, everybody has an issue. If you knew me, how much I love soccer. Love it. Yes.
So who's your British team then? Premier League team.
I don't, but I did actually work hockey schools with a coach, one of my coaching mentors back in the day, who was coaching in the British Professional League.
Nice.
Yeah, and now we have that horrible incident over there a couple weeks ago where the player passed away from taking a skate blade to the neck.
Yeah, that was here in where I live in my city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one hit home for me because back in my hometown in 1986, an 18-year-old kid lost his life to that same type of incident.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not fun. Not fun. All right, we're going to continue with audience questions. Otherwise, we're going to turn this into a hockey conversation. All right. Super Crazy is asking, do you think Carl Nell is a firsthand witness?
That's a really good question. I mean, he has the potential to be, doesn't he? I wouldn't like to say either way, but he certainly could be.
I think if you're going to have that position, you need somebody who is a witness, somebody who they may not be an experiencer, okay, but they need to have witnessed something that can take the emotion out of the subject. And the only way you can do that is if it's like firefighters or paramedics or police officers. They've seen so much that they've built up an immunity to it. And I think in this position, if they're taking it seriously, it would be smart to bring out somebody who has either seen the craft, seen the bodies, talk to eyewitnesses, not just military eyewitnesses, but witnesses who've had close encounters. I think it has to be that type of person. And
Yeah,
if that's Carl Nell, maybe he'll tell us.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Okay. Simon in Australia is asking, why, Vinny? Why the secrecy?
These are huge questions. I think we kind of touched upon it earlier. There are so many potential reasons why. I mean, I'd love to get into the heads of these secret keepers and just try and understand it. I really would, something that could really benefit the whole of humanity and help us get past this warmongering thing that we are. I don't know. Sorry, Simon.
Love this question by Arrows Andy. Are you auditioning for a UK senior boy band?
Oh man, he had to drop the senior in there, didn't he?
You got the looks for it, my man.
Nah, those days are over.
Okay, let's have some fun here. In your UFO boy band, okay, you're the leader. You're the Justin Timberlake here. Okay, who are you adding?
Is it UK and US or just UK?
Anybody.
Oh my goodness. Help me out though. You can throw some names in the hat as well,
Okay.
Dave.
Okay. Just with the hair.
Yeah.
Sean Cahill.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Sean on lead guitar.
I think you got to add Chris Sharp because
I was going to say
he's got the baby face.
Chris Sharp. Yeah. What else? What else do we need?
Who else is going to stand up there?
Come on.
We need two more. There's nobody in Canada because half of us are missing teeth from hockey pucks. Right?
Well, you could throw in Daniel Otis, maybe.
No, too new.
Okay.
Too new. And let's see here. If I were to go through.
Oh God.
If we could mix it up a little bit, I think you got to throw Christina Gomez in there.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, mix it up.
Yeah.
There you go. You can have Chrissy Newton as well then. Your Canadian kind of.
Yeah, we could have Chrissy Newton in there as well. I think that's a solid boy-girl band right there.
There you go.
The power ballads are coming. Number one hits galore coming through. All right, let's continue on. Thanks for the fun there, by the way. Let's go to Simon again in Australia. Vinny, do you think the solution is for humanity to bypass governments and contact ET themselves, CE5 style?
Hey, look, if that's the direction that certain people would prefer to go, then absolutely. I'm all for everything, for people trying to find their own way in this subject. Something what might be for one person might not be for the other. And I think that's great. If somebody gets something from CE5 and non-human, human initiated contact, sorry, then I'm all for it. Absolutely. Whether it can bring about the actual disclosure, I don't know, but go out there, do something, feel like you're actually making some positive contribution.
Right. Okay. Let's continue on here. Let's go to Jules here. Do you think cryptids, other beings, ghosts, and UFOs are all connected in some way?
Very good question, Julie. I'm not going to say there's no way they could be, because they could be, but again, I mean, I don't know. There are certain things that would make sense that it all fits under one big phenomena. I don't know. It's a really good question. Really good.
I think so too. I do believe they are all connected. I've seen too much evidence of it from my own eyes to not believe that they're not connected. Okay, let's go to Jules again. Follow up. What are your feelings about unhidden and UAP med type organizations?
Fantastic. I'm actually on the board of trustees for Unhidden, so I'm absolutely 100% behind these organizations. I'm happy to be taking part in and an organization that focuses on kind of mental health and the work that UAP Med have been doing when it comes to this subject is great. It's a great way to kind of help the subjects and help people that have experienced things and make them feel part of something. I feel for a long time that experiences have been kind of pushed to the sidelines for too long, and so I think they're fantastic, and it really helps.
All right. I like that answer. I do. I really like that answer. Continuing on here, let's go to Big J, who is asking, what is your opinion on Rendlesham Forest?
That is one of the muddiest cases I've ever had to research. There's so many things with Rendlesham. The differences in accounts from Jim Penniston, John Burroughs, that it doesn't always align. And I know they've been at loggerheads over the years with each other. I think that a genuine craft landed at Rendlesham. That there was an anomalous object involved. That's as much as I can kind of say for my belief. I don't know much past that. Too many conflicting stories and accounts that have just gone on for too long over the decades since it happened in 1980. So it's one of them cases that I think will be an enigma for a long time, if not forever.
Is there a story out there? And we do have a lot more audience questions. We may have to carry this over. I know you're game for it if we have to. Is there a story out there that really hits home for you? One that, maybe the public doesn't know. Everybody knows Rendlesham. Everybody knows Roswell or Kecksburg. But have you ever heard of or been told an encounter that you're just like, there's no way this could be true?
I think there's a case that jumps to mind that I think is a genuine UFO case that I think is very underrated and not spoken about. And the Rendlesham incident cases at RAF Bentwaters and Woodbridge, but there was another case at RAF Bentwaters back in 1956, which had pilot testimony, radar data of objects performing extreme maneuvers, appearing in front and behind these jets that were up in the air. My colleague, Dr. David Clark, has interviewed those pilots. I think they're deceased now, but 20 years ago, he has the tapes. And, I've spoken with him privately about this. I think it's a fascinating case that has all of the data points that we cry out for these days, yet it doesn't get spoken about. It was even part of Project Blue Book as well. It's one of the 700 cases that they could not explain.
Wow. Fantastic. Okay, let's continue on with some audience questions here. And let's go to the Gong Show, who is asking, Vinny, what do you know about electrogravitics?
Nothing. Absolutely not. It's a buzzword about the potential propulsion systems of these craft. I think I've had great conversations with people that may know more. Tim Ventura and his organization, where they talk about this type of thing. And that's the kind of places where I would direct people if they have questions about that sort of thing, about advanced propulsion. Unfortunately, I know nothing.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go to Robbie G. Do you feel there's a rift between the UK and US ufology scene? And what do you think is the best way to work together in order to have a global unified effort towards exposing the truth?
I don't see any rift between the UK and the US scene, let's say. I think I've been welcomed with open arms into the US ufology scene, as you call it. I think the main rifts that I see occur between people from the same country who just have differences of opinion, and they kind of take it beyond attacking the data and the evidence, and they attack themselves. I think the way that we can have this more global unified effort is for people to just be a little bit open to other ideas, and just respect that not everyone's going to have the same opinion on whether it be individual cases or the big picture of ufology. I think just understanding that because no one has that conclusive answer, that nobody knows, so why should we fight about it? Because we're not going to get anywhere doing that. We should put our focus in working together.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, let's continue on here, my friend, because questions just keep on rolling on in. Let's go to Marduk here. How would it affect religion if non-human intelligence turns out to be immortal? What use is heaven or reincarnation if you literally never die?
I mean, human beings would still be mortal beings. We'd still want to go somewhere in the afterlife if it's real. We'd want to still go to heaven and potentially be reincarnated. If a non-human intelligence is immortal, great. But I don't see us suddenly becoming immortal.
You don't want to be immortal? The immortal
I suppose there's pros and cons to
Come
everything.
on. Come on.
I just get so grumpy.
Oh, 3 minutes to go here before we got to take a break. Super Crazy is asking, do you think humanity was created by a non-human intelligence?
There are things that point to that being highly potentially what has happened, that they have interfered in the yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's possible that they helped us evolve into what we are now. Maybe, they always say there's a missing link. Could that be it? Could it be, influenced by non-human intelligence? Yeah, I'm open to that idea.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
I'm not. That's the thing. I'm just not sure.
I'm so not sure of that question. Follow up from Super Crazy. Do you think a world war will help or hinder the disclosure process?
To be honest, I think it's probably more likely to hinder the disclosure process, because everything that's happening, whether it be within government, all the focus is going to completely disappear from the UFO subject. Everyone's going to be so focused on war, and they kind of should be, with the humanitarian side of things. I think they should be. So that's my a hinder.
Yeah, I agree with you on that 100%. I think that the more we focus on the military industrial complex, which means wars, the less chance we have at advancing. We really do. The technology may advance, the weaponry may advance, but the advancement of actually learning more about what we need to learn and what's important to humanity, not going to happen. Let's see if we can sneak in one more. From the UK, Sweet Tony D is asking, there's been a government proposed plan for disclosure ending in 2030. Do you think that people will disclose and make contact with NHI publicly before that? Your thoughts?
Maybe, actually, maybe. I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to take this subject out of the hands of the government and shift the focus away from it. I think that would be great for the subject. Unfortunately, I just don't know. Do I think that people would? It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to say. I can say yes because I want it to happen, but I don't know. It's tough. It's a great question, and it's worth bearing in mind, keeping that in mind as we kind of go forward.
Well, I think we also have to decipher, too, that there's two different types of disclosure. There's personal disclosure. Like for me, as an experiencer, I know the phenomenon is real.
Sure.
I've seen it. I've experienced it. I don't need disclosure. But for many others, including governments of the world, to announce that we are not alone in the universe, that is a huge step towards a lot of different doors that will immediately open.
Yeah.
And it will push science to the brink of shattering its own image, because they're not going to know what to do, that the tinfoil hatters were actually right and we made fun of them all these years.
That's true.
And that's the
Very
truth of it.
true.
Vinny, I'm going to see if you want to stick around for another hour. I'm having too much fun here, man.
Yeah,
I
I'm
hope
good.
you
I'm good.
Let's
Loving it.
continue on here. And if Courtney Marcassani is done traveling from Saul, we'll join in from her. We'll get her to join in as well. Vinnie Adams from Disclosure Tonight, or not Disclosure Tonight, Disclosure Team Podcast. I knew it was going to happen once. Like I said. Spaced Out Radio continues with an hour 3 next. There we go. We're going to take a quick break here. I'm going to try and get a hold of Courtney, because I know the poor lady, she was just so tired.
No
So
worries.
tired. Yeah, I wish I was at the soul thing too. I'm going to ask you about that after, when we get back. We'll take more questions. I'm going to put you in the rubber room here, and I'll be right back, okay?
No problem.
All right. Be right back, people. Bring Vinny back in. Dude, people are hanging on. They want this to continue.
Excellent. I'm loving it.
Here, I'm going to put... No offense, Pixie Lara, but this is really warm. Put this one on here. It's my one I got at a gas station just outside of Area 51.
Love it. Nice.
Yeah. I'm not usually into buying gas station ball caps, but all right. My head's now dropped about 5 degrees. Which is nice. The snow hasn't started yet, so that's nice.
I bet it comes down quick though when it does.
It gets so beautiful. Yeah. And then when I open up my front door, I'll have a pile of at least 6 to 8 deer in front of my door waiting. Hey, do you have any food in there that we can eat?
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. I had the crap scared out of me a couple of nights ago. I walked outside during the break and, you get that feeling you're being watched.
Yeah.
And I, and my eyes are blinded because I got my phone on, right? The brightness of my phone. And I pick my head up and I look and I've got this male buck deer standing about 8 feet away from me.
Oh, gosh.
And he's just staring at me. And I'm staring at him. I'm like, oh, hey, buddy. How you doing? The cherry tree's over to the left about 40 feet. That's where you need to go. A big thank you tonight to Peter, T-Bone ×2, Pixie Lara ×2, Jennifer, Robert, Michael, and Benji for the super chats. Thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up. And if you're new and hit subscribe, we are here 7 days a week for your listening ears. And don't forget, you can shop at our store and our website, spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. So go get it today. Here we go with hour 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ballistophobia. Ballistophobia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Now, normally we go to Steve Stockton and Among the Missing, but this conversation's just way too hot right now. We got to continue it with Vinnie Adams from Disclosure Team Podcast, one of the best podcasts in the world when it comes to everything UFO and UAP. Vinny, thank you for sticking around. I know you're pretty into the conversation, so we're going to run with it again. So thank you for staying up late or early with us, man.
I'm having too much fun, Dave.
Yeah, man, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I can't believe we're in hour 3 already. Because
I know.
This flown by. And it's just, an interesting conversation all around. Ange in Australia saying, NHI and USOs, how much can Dave be bought for? Well, I'm telling you, if they got tacos on board, I'm gone. I'm gone. Life supply of tacos, but there has to be one caveat on that. I can't gain weight. Okay. If I'm eating the tacos, I can't gain weight. And they better have a good selection of hot sauce on there too. Oh, yeah. You a hot sauce guy?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the hottest you've done?
Ooh. I mean, I tell you what, my brother is the hot sauce guy, and he always, when I go and see him, he's got the next level
Oh,
Carolina Reaper,
ew.
ultimate Scoville level sauce, and he just likes to watch me try them all. But I can handle my heat. I can handle
Yeah.
my heat.
I've got 2 bottles in my fridge right now that one it scares me. I've gone through about a quarter of it, but it scares me. I got another one that's just pure ghost pepper,
Okay.
and it comes like it's like the lid or the top of it is coated in wax, so you have to put. And I haven't taken that off yet.
Right.
Scares me. But the worst one I have, yeah, and I've got about 25 bottles of hot sauce in my fridge. But the worst one I have, my dad knows nothing about hot sauce. He goes, son, what do you want for Christmas or for your birthday? This is a couple years ago. So I said, Dad, I want some hot sauce. Well, he doesn't know where to get it. So he walks into his town into this Vietnamese store and this Vietnamese restaurant. And he goes, do you sell hot sauce in here? And the guy's like, yeah. And he goes, my son really likes really hot sauce. And so this Vietnamese guy in his really strong accent goes up to my dad and says, this'll fix him. And every time my dad goes into that restaurant to eat now, the guy's like, how's your son? He hurt? He hurt? Dude, this bottle I got is probably 7 inches tall.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
And it's the size of a ketchup bottle, like a plastic ketchup bottle. And I am maybe not even an eighth of fit in that
Right.
bottle. It just kills me. It kills me. Like my mouth is sweating right now just thinking about eating that, you know. But yeah, because Dave knows the longer it sits, the hotter it gets, you know. Oh
Oh
man.
yeah.
All right. All right. Before we get to more audience questions, and we're going to get to some more, I want to ask you about this conference that happened this weekend in San Francisco at Stanford University, put on by Dr. Gary Nolan, called Soul. And they kind of had the who's who of science and even a little bit of woo there regarding this event. It was invite only. Tickets were very hard to come by. And if you could come by one, they were brutally expensive. But this was a conference where I'm hearing that it was absolutely amazing, the information that was passed through there. And I'm hearing on other sense that, here we go again with Enigma Labs times part 2. You know, you've heard all about this. You know people who were there. What's your take on this invite only conference that just happened?
I think this being a new kind of organization, I think it kind of made sense to kind of limit the availability to a certain degree because they didn't want to just attract the usual conference crowd. And I mean, no offense by that to the people that attend conferences. I've attended many myself. But what they were trying to do was to try and get the serious people working within the community there. I had colleagues from Unhidden here in the UK. 2 colleagues went over there to kind of make some connections and do some actual networking. These are the new generation of conferences that I think we're going to see going forward, where they are very much focused on the academic and scientific side of the subject. And I think that's needed as well. I attended one in Paris, France, 2 weeks ago, which was very much in the same vein. It was at the prestigious Sorbonne University, which is, a bit like the sort of Stanford of Paris. And it was very much science and academic focused. We had Jacques Vallée there and a lot of really high-level French scientists from aerospace companies and academia as well. And I think that it adds a lot of credibility to the subject, and it shows that it's being taken seriously by other academics and scientists who may think that it's just too steeped in stigma for them to get involved. It's like an open door for them to say, hey, this is being taken seriously. And then we get more and more people with the credentials that we want looking at this subject. I think it's a good thing.
Okay, so the idea that they are trying to once again set up another group, okay, and we've seen all of these groups start popping up. I'm going to tell you, and I want to have an honest conversation with you on this one, because when I see one of these new groups pop up, I keep thinking that this is what people mean by disclosure for dollars. That they are going for a lot of money, that the government, because once this story breaks, the budget is going to include a lot of zeros on the end. Like we're talking 9, 10 zeros. Okay, when it finally comes out, if not more. I mean, any type of UFO budget, if disclosure happens, is going to be in the trillions, way more than the military could get in 1 year. And I think you would agree with that
Sure.
by your head nodding. So my thing is, I see all of these groups, whether it's Ryan Graves, whether it's Enigma Labs, whether it's Avi Loeb, and in the 14 groups that he seems to be in, okay, including this new one. I see everybody kind of trying to pace themselves into this disclosure for dollars movement. Not the Corey Good and David Wilcock kind of crap, okay, but I'm saying like real disclosure for dollars, the threat narrative dollars. What are your thoughts on that, first and foremost, number one? But number two, how do we be careful that it isn't about the money or the budget, that it is about the science, it is about potential contact with another species, whether they're alien, extraterrestrial, extraterrestrial, or from different dimensions?
I mean, when I look at the Soul Foundation, you look at it spearheaded by Gary Nolan. Gary Nolan certainly isn't short of a few dollars, that's for sure. Do I think he's doing this to line his pockets more than to actually do some good for the subject? No, I think he's actually number one trying to push the subject forward. That's kind of how I look at it on an individual basis with each of these groups. Some throw up a lot more questions than others. I think the Soul Foundation, with what they're trying to do, it isn't just a conference where people speak and they go in here and then next year they do it again. They're actually talking about trying to help implement government policy, trying to do work integrating within the whole disclosure that's happening within government at the moment. I think they're trying to do forward thinking work. I don't think it's just a case of give us your money and we'll tell you a few things we think you might want to hear. There are other organizations that maybe do have slightly more nefarious thoughts on what they're doing. I don't know, but I think, again, this is probably the eternal optimist coming in. No, they're good, but I try and think of it on that level.
So what's your thoughts then on a group like Enigma Labs that seems to be keeping everything secret, that Alejandro Rojas, no offense to him, he seems to love this secrecy and kind of downplay ufology. We see Ryan Graves out there, God bless him, thank you for his service as a fighter pilot, but he's playing a threat narrative, to try and get his group budgetized. And he's become a great face of ufology, even though he wants nothing to do with ufology. I mean, we see all of these popping up, and I know from my listeners, there's concern here. They all want my listeners' information. They want their names, their stories, their phone numbers, their emails, and everything, but nobody knows where it's going or what the purpose is of that. To me, that's scary. It's this exact same thing as getting one of those revenue agency phone calls saying you're behind on your taxes. Go get us some gift cards from Walmart.
I hear you. I mean, I think with Enigma Labs, when it was launched, I think there was a lot of shadiness because of the way that they released it, with very clearly saying that they're going to remain secret about a lot of the background of the organization. That really didn't sit well within the UFO community. When we're all talking about transparency and being clear about this subject, yet here they are being overly secret about investors and who's running the show at the top, kind of thing. So that was an issue. I try and, with Ryan Graves, try and take more of a step back and look at it. I don't think he is intentionally trying to just do this for the money. I think his intention's in the right place. Maybe he pushes this sort of threat narrative to make a point. Maybe he makes it too much. I'm not really willing to kind of just go too far on him at this point.
But let me kind of make a comparison here. Okay. And once again, I'm not trying to throw shade on on Ryan Graves, but this is where I have concern. Lou Elizondo told me in a conversation, and I can talk about this one publicly, that one of the biggest mistakes the To the Stars Academy made when they came out was that they immediately from day one tried to exclude the UFO community. They bit the hand that fed them. And that was from Tom DeLonge on down. And I like to use a little scenario that Tom DeLonge, didn't know where and when to rock star. And the UFO community was not a place to rock star. And Lou said that was one of the biggest mistakes they made as a team was that they didn't include the UFO community. Not that they needed our blessings, but for not only financial support, public support. And if they would have launched it differently by including, geez, even put Stanton Friedman on there when he was alive, or, love him or hate him, Richard Dolan or somebody, an educated master of ufology up there to join their team. So that way we could say, okay, one of us is on there. We could support this. And they didn't do that. And I see somebody like Graves kind of doing the same thing with his group, that he wants to play in the UFO realm, but he doesn't want to listen to what the brains, the things that the good parts that ufology has.
When you put it like that, that makes absolutely perfect sense. Yeah, 100%. I can see that angle now that you've explained it that way. Absolutely. They're kind of just navigating around the community to get on top and just ignoring sort of the vital core aspect of what this subject's all about, and that is the community. So yeah, I hear you. And I think that is, worrisome.
And then you have people out there who are having true experiences. Okay. And I think MUFON made a big mistake by going down the governmental road too, with them getting hooking up with a lobbyist group. And look, I understand why. Okay. But I think they made a mistake. They had an opportunity. And I talked to one of the board of directors, a couple of them about this. I think, in my opinion, if they would have continued to be the voice of the people, they had a real chance of making headwaves and getting their star shining in front of the UFO community again. But they wanted to play the government game too, saying, hey, we want a part of this. So really, who is talking for the people, Vinny? Who is there for you, for me, for the audience, for the person who gets abducted twice a week and has horrible things happen to them, or the person who gets abducted every second Friday, who goes on a nice journey flying the craft and has incredible stories to tell? Who is fighting for us?
It's a great question. I think we've seen, like MUFON lost a lot of trust with the way that their direction that they took it in, and with Enigma Labs being very, people being very uncertain about going to them as well. I think people are now turning to these smaller groups that we're seeing. For example, the Experiencer group run by J. Christopher King. I think that the way they do things is really, really impressive and really open, really for the people. So I think it is going to be these smaller groups that we're going to see coming through, where people are going to start going to them because they don't trust these bigger organizations for what might happen with their data, whether they're going to actually get anything done for their case. Are they just going to be thrown on a database and that's it? So I think it is time for a change. I think we need a new kind of paradigm of groups where people can actually do something.
The problem with that is you need somebody with major bucks to put together a major computer program to hold the data. That's the problem that you have.
I think we're going to encounter some sort of problem in whichever direction it goes in. But I think they're problems that can be resolved to some degree. I think it just needs a bit of time and a good business plan.
Let's rock and roll with some more audience questions here. Let's go to Simon here. Vinny, do you look forward to Mick West and Neil deGrasse Tyson say, well, I was wrong?
Oh, it's certainly not going to hurt to hear it, is it? I mean, I don't I don't spend too much time worrying about stuff like that or even thinking about it. I'm not one to kind of rub people's faces in things if they turn out to be wrong. I think they'll suffer themselves inside internally.
There's a real big difference, excuse me, between a critic like Mick West and some of the people we see out there who are trying to make a mockery
Yeah.
of this field.
Yeah.
I think there is a good place for Mick West. Mick West has never said that he doesn't want UFOs or aliens to be real. In his mind, he just hasn't seen the evidence. And I've had Mick on the air a couple of times now. I would invite him back anytime. But, I think Mick gets a raw deal outside of somebody like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's just making fun of the situation.
Absolutely. I've spoken to Mick. I had him on my show. Yeah. I don't tend to follow along too much of what he says or does, but I certainly don't have any kind of, this is the thing. I don't particularly dislike anybody in this field because I haven't got time for that. It's just not who I am.
I agree. Derek wants to know, who's your favorite researcher in ufology?
Ooh, God, that is a good question.
Huge question.
There are so many kind of areas of ufology these days where the focus is on different aspects of it. So to have one overall favorite, I really struggle with. I like Diana Pasulka at the moment, only because I've been reading her books again. I've had the conversation with her. I really like the way she's dealing with the subject. Came in from academia outside and, got boots on the ground with Gary Nolan and stuff to the gifting site. And she's speaking with people from all aspects, whether it be government, intel, and people within ufology. I think she's great. I still got a soft spot for Richard Dolan to a degree. He's an amazing historian of this subject. I probably got a lot of good things to say about a lot of people in this subject, but I think there are a lot of great new researchers coming into this field. People who put out content on social media. Look at someone like Dan Warren on TikTok. This new generation to put out all this information in such short video snippets, yet make it clear and concise and really attract new people to this subject. I could go on with looking at all different sides of things like that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. To pick one, it's very tough because there are so many different avenues.
Yeah.
Like I'll throw up there, my favorite researcher is Grant Cameron.
Yeah, brilliant.
And a lot of people will say he's off his rocker, okay, because he doesn't care. He just goes down the path that the information leads him, no matter how strange it is. He's not afraid to walk that path until he finds an answer or a dead end. And then he reverses himself and goes down another path. I got a lot of admiration and respect for that. I got a lot of admiration and respect for a lot of people in this field, who are trying to push the limits outside of the basic norms, whether it's ET contact, and they're not doing Stephen Greer disclosure for dollars. Hey, you want to meet an alien? It's $3,500. They're not doing that. Dan Warren is probably somebody I would put on that list as well. I mean, he's incredible and calls it just like a referee would, right down the middle.
Yeah.
And I think he's incredible. I really do. I mean, I think it would have to be a list of 50. Maybe we should team up on that going into 2024 is do a simultaneous podcast radio show of the top 50 ufologists in the world.
Love
I think
it.
that'd be fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
We should do that.
Let's talk.
We got 90 seconds here. Let's try and sneak in one more question from Neil here. Vinny, I know the UK has werewolf and big cat sightings. Do you have Bigfoot over there?
There are people who go out looking for Bigfoot in the UK. There are people that said that they've seen Bigfoot out here. Yeah, I don't know personally, but people say there is just as much as there are the other types of cryptids that you mentioned there.
Oh my gosh. Are you a Bigfoot guy?
I've dabbled over the years. Yeah, I do like Jeff Meldrum and the sort of more scientific. I've not quite got to the woo Bigfoot yet with the orbs and the UFO correlations, but I keep my eyes out a little bit.
You ever come to Canada, I'll take you to my spot.
Oh, love that.
Yeah. Dude, I got 2 spots out here, and the one or both of them have UFOs and orbs and all
Nice.
of that. And it's and you know what it's weird is I think they start in patterns. The orbs start first, and then something else will happen, whether a UFO sighting or whatever, and then the big guy makes his appearance. Whether you
Wow.
see him or not, you'll know he's there. It's pretty incredible when you're in the middle of the forest like I am where I live, and all of a sudden you hear, howling and strange noises way in the background. It'll put the hair up your chest on your chest standing right up in no time. We got one
Okay.
half hour left on Spaced Out Radio with Disclosure podcast host Vinnie Adams. Disclosure Team podcast, one of the best in the world. If you want to download it and add it to your listing. Final half hour, Spaced Out Radio is next. Let's clear that question. Yeah, it's funny because I got my one buddy Mark. Okay, he's been a hunter his entire life. He's been a hunting guide. He's been an animal like a wolf tracker and a mountain lion tracker and a bear tracker. This guy has been there, done it all in the forest of British Columbia. Never believed in Sasquatch. And then after the fires here in 2017, we had found 2 footprints in 2016. One 18 inches. And it was funny. My buddy Mike found it. And he found it. He was hunting rabbits and grouse. And he found it by jumping out of his vehicle because he had to take a piss. And as he's starting to pee, he looks down to his right, and there is an 18-inch track.
Wow. Did he manage to? Did he get casts of them at all?
He went back to cast it, and a vehicle drove over it.
Oh no.
Yeah. So we went back and we searched the area, and probably 200, 300 feet into the forest, we found an opening, and there was a 15-inch track there. And so a year later, because we went through a really bad drought here, a year later, the track was still there. And so when we were evacuated during forest fires in 2017. And when we came back, I got to know this guy, Mark, and Mark started listening to my show during the evacuation, and like we lived like 2 miles from each other. So he's like, "Hey, do you mind if we meet?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man. Like I don't really have a lot of friends in this town. I was still pretty new." And we become best friends since, but this guy's done everything in the forest. And I took him he goes, "I don't believe in the Sasquatch stuff." I said, "Let me show you a track." So we went and I showed him a track. And for about 20 minutes, he kneeled down at that track and he's like, "This is unbelievable." He goes, "What is this? This is unbelievable." Right. And it was right there. And so he started slowly believing, but still quite skeptical. And then in 2018, we had another encounter with our buddy Merle. If you listen to the show, you know who Merle is.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. And Merle, Mark, and I got chased out of the forest by 2 of them.
Wow.
And fast forward to this year, where we did some filming in that same area, and I got to be careful with what I say, but let's just say that Sasquatch made an appearance. But last year, Canadian Thanksgiving, so 13 months ago, we were in the forest, and it was at our site where we have a gifting site. We had found a 13-inch track there, and Mark hears this snap of a twig way off in the distance. We bring our flashlights up, and he's like, "You got to be," he literally says, "You got to be effing kidding me." And our flashlights are up, and about 100 yards from us, there's about a 10-foot Sasquatch standing there. and he is staring back at us. Like the whole like black shadow view that you see of the Sasquatch, like just standing there with the shoulders out, the head, and we could see the outline perfectly.
Wow.
And Mark, myself, and my son saw it, and then my buddy Mike came up. He's like, "What are you guys looking at?" We like Sasquatch over here. And when we turned back to look after Mike came up on us, that's where the Sasquatch then knelt down. So we could see it kneeling down. And we started slowly moving towards it. And it was a one night out of our lives where we all brought our shittiest flashlights.
Right.
Okay. And and we actually we don't know how he left.
Right.
No idea. If he would have went to his left, our right, he would have had to climb over a bunch of fallen trees. We would have heard that.
Of course.
If he went to our left, his right, he would have walked across a logging road, like a one vehicle logging road, and then up a 7-8 foot embankment.
Right.
We would have seen it.
Yeah.
If he came forward, we would have seen him because we're closing in. And if he went backwards, we would have seen him disappear.
Of course.
And we don't know how he left, but he was gone. And then his friend a few minutes later started yelling in the forest. That was cool. We're going to get going here in about 5 seconds. So just stay put. And we got enough questions, everyone. So here we go. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. We're just going to get right to it. You've heard all the advertising that I do at the beginning of each half hour, but Vinnie Adams from Disclosure Team Podcast is here with us. We're going to continue the UFO talk. Before we get to more audience questions, Vinnie, I'm not sure if you heard this story or not, but apparently at an airport in India, in Manipur's Imphal Airport, they had to shut down all flights due to a UFO sighting. Did you hear about this?
I did. Yeah, I saw the video as well. Fascinating. I mean, the video isn't particularly anything new, or it's just the usual kind of white light just hovering in the sky. But like you said there, the important thing is they actually had to shut down the airport. This is a busy airport. They don't just do that randomly on a whim. This must have, been some real serious concerns as to what this object was. So whether we learn more about it in the coming days, I don't know. But yeah, I definitely saw that earlier today.
Yeah. What's your thoughts? I mean, we haven't had a really good airport sighting like that since probably Chicago O'Hare.
Yeah.
In 2006.
What a case
I mean,
was.
I mean, if any case should be brought forward, it's that one. To leave a hole in a cloud the size of a giant circle, that ain't no drone. That ain't no Chinese woo craft.
No, absolutely. I believe there's more information on that case still hidden somewhere. I think we've not, hopefully not heard the end of it. But I think you mentioned something there. That I think a lot of the issues that we've seen, especially here in the UK over the years, is these drones that fly over airports are really muddying the waters when it comes to these cases, because a lot of the times they can't be identified straight away. There's been cases here in the UK for years where, they're anomalous objects, and then they find out eventually they're drones, and there's not a lot of information released, and it muddies the waters a little bit. It's the same with a lot of these nuclear cases that we've had in Europe as well, about large unknown objects hovering over these bases. Are they drones? It's really difficult. But you're right, we haven't had a good UFO airport case in a while.
Well, the cool part about it was they shut down the airport for 3 hours, stranding over 500 passengers. And the Indian Air Force actually dispatched fighters to go fly into the area to try and find the craft unsuccessfully. So, I mean, this just adds to the mystery of what's going on. And I think it's absolutely great. I do. I do. We need more reports like that,
Definitely.
especially non-military reports. Let me ask you this. Are you tired of military reports? I could, unless they're coming with video, I could throw them in the garbage personally. Because there are so many more reports out there, and they've really done a great job in the United States of turning this into a military issue rather than an everyday citizen issue. Doesn't matter whether you're military or not. Just your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never say that I'm tired of it. I do prefer to hear from outside of the military. I was very lucky enough last year to be contacted by a commercial pilot who I spoke with for over 6 months privately on all of the incidences and things that he'd seen in his career. The captain of a 747, and eventually we broke his story on my show, and he went on to do Ryan Graves' show, and he's now involved with big organizations in Europe to do with air safety when it comes to UAP, and doing a lot of good work, which is in itself has brought forward a lot of other European commercial pilots who are speaking to him about their experiences. So it's had this grand knock-on effect, and it's wonderful to hear from them because like they're not got these ties to the military, and it's almost like the civilian sector of sightings that we want to hear about, and not just government. So yeah, I think that's where I prefer to go with. I know there's a lot of pilots out there. I've spoken to a lot privately, and the stigma, unfortunately, in the aviation industry is still very thick. So we need more of them to come forward.
Here's the thing. I want to know why everything we're seeing right now is so small. I mean, what happened to Japan Airlines, where their pilots are encountering a 1 to 2 mile long craft, or the Phoenix Lights craft, which was a couple miles wide. This is what I want to see. This is the type of stuff that I want to get back to, rather than this is where, to me, the conflict between, once again, UAP and UFOs take over, because a UAP is usually drone size, maybe the size of a car, maybe a bus, but it's drone size. Well, I want the big suckers back.
I do know what you mean. I mean, David Grush did mention as someone he spoke to with this huge triangle. I think they're still out there. They're still happening. But you're right. We're seeing these small metallic orbs and things like that a lot more at the moment. Even looking at the data coming out of Arrow that we have got so far, that the vast majority of the cases they've been looking at seem to be orbs as well. It's strange how over the decades we have the era of flying saucers going into triangles, going into tic tacs, going into orbs. It's really strange how that keeps happening. I don't know why, but I want the big stuff too.
Not a problem, man. Not a problem. Hey, we're on the same page there. Same page. Okay, let's go to a couple more audience questions here. Let's go to Derek. Who do you think is going to take over the Arrowhead from Kirkpatrick? We talked to, maybe, is it going to be Kurt Nell?
Carl Nell would be great, from what I've heard from, he was great when he was named in the original Grush article in the debrief back in June 5th, I think it was. Someone who obviously takes this issue seriously and has actually backed up David Grush. But is that just a wishful thinking that we really want it to be him? I wouldn't be so surprised. As long as we've got someone who's willing to do the work and do it right, I think, I don't know.
Do you think it has to be someone tied tightly to the Pentagon? I mean, Susan Goff, for instance, seemed to have her way with Sean Kirkpatrick on what he could and cannot say.
This is the issue. I mean, I'm hoping that now that it has moved out under OUSDI, that there is a bit more freedom for the person that takes over as director to even talk more publicly. Kirkpatrick did a couple of times in his time there. I think maybe under Kathleen Hicks and DepSec Def, it might happen like that. I'm not sure. But the one thing is that, Sean Kirkpatrick, I'm very good friends with someone who worked directly with him at Space Command. And so I was aware of Kirkpatrick before he became director of Arrow. And, apparently he was a straight up guy. He's not like he's not a bad person per se. I think he's been tarnished a lot by the UFO community because we didn't get what we wanted from Arrow. I don't think it's all Kirkpatrick's fault. I just hope that the new director is someone that can show us that they're doing more.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And uses the word transparency for what it actually means.
Yeah.
In the UK, Tony is asking, Vinny, what's your thoughts about well, same thing, Carl Nell
Yeah,
taking over.
that'd be
We don't
great.
know we don't know if he's going to take over yet. Apparently, there is one other person who is allegedly in the running. His name hasn't become public yet. And the best thing that we can hope for is that it's somebody who understands the community, the government side of everything, because we know that person's going to have to keep secrets.
Yeah.
And the best way to figure that out is who is going to be supporting them publicly. If a guy like Chris Mellon isn't a fan, you know that this person is more working for the Pentagon than for any sort of disclosure movement.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Couldn't say it better. So yeah, let's just hope. Let's not just put all our eggs in one basket at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go to super crazy. Do you think the government currently has living aliens or NHI beings under captivity?
Look, I think by the sounds of things, if we're to go on what David Grush says, they have these bodies, right? It doesn't sound like any of them were living. Sounds like they were either intact or in pieces. So based on that, I don't think we have any living aliens or beings under captivity. Even going back to the stories of Eben or EBE and the stuff that's been spoken about historically, I don't even know if they were true. Did they find one living body among the Roswell crash and the others were dead? I don't know. I'd like to believe it, but I struggle with it.
Yeah, I don't know. This is where I fall into the I don't know category, because it is plausible.
Mm-hmm.
It is plausible. And if they have had contact with extraterrestrials for decades, like many people believe, whether it's J-Rod or whether it's the Ebens or whatever, let's not even get into the humanity, the woo side of the Galactic Federation or reptilians or anything like that. Not saying that they don't exist, but just trying to keep it factually to what we have seen up until this point.
Right.
Okay, from the government side, or even Valiant Thor, for that is the Venusian from the 60s. Okay, the idea behind it all is if they are there, and if just one of those rumors is true. And this is why, and I don't know what you've done with your audience, but with my audience, Vin, what I've tried to do is I've tried to say to them, look, under this confirmation movement, the threat narratives and everything that we've had, we cannot throw anything out.
Sure.
We can't throw out the J-Rod videos. We can't throw out the Eben videos. We can't throw out Bob Lazar to the trash, or David Adair, or John Lear, or any of the woo-spiricists out there, or the Eisenhower theory of trading humans for technology, because this secret is so deep, we don't know what is the truth. And the problem that we have in ufology is we have people who are playing the I don't believe it game because I don't believe it. They're using opinion as fact.
Yep.
Rather than knowledge. And there's too many unanswered questions to say that any of this is garbage or malarkey or whatever, right? I know somebody who used to work at Area 51, and this person says that the Bob Lazar story is a joke, but like it's an actual joke on base. But this person goes on to say that they still have questions because there are certain things that Lazar has said that are correct. A lot of it wrong, but the base is so tight that you'd have to be there to know.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, and I do kind of more so like I have my show on my channel, but I spend a lot of time on Instagram interacting with the community as well. That's kind of where I have my biggest kind of following and stuff, and we talk a lot. And I always say you can't, unless anything can be 100% proven to be either true or false, why take it off the table? You're doing a disservice to research. You have to go where the data leads. And if the data doesn't go to 100% true or false, then it stays on the table. There may be a scale where certain things probably more probable and others less probable, but it all has to stay on that proverbial table until it can be completely taken off with 100% conclusion.
And the other question that follows up, and I'll ask you this, I've asked a lot of people this over the last year. What is proof? Videos don't work anymore because of AI and CGI getting so good. Photos don't work anymore because Photoshop got perfected by 8-year-olds 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Audio doesn't work. Anecdotal evidence doesn't work. If I bring you a classified paper, that doesn't work anymore. What is proof?
It's true. Maybe it's a multitude of data points together that paint a clear picture. Is it, let's say in a UFO case, is it a photograph with radar data, with witness testimony, and all of these kind of individual data points that on their own aren't enough put together? Is it enough? Is it 100%? Probably even not at that point. So I see where you're coming from. It's very difficult in this day and age.
It is because when the way I look at it, when I hear the skeptics talk about it, okay, they say, well, show me proof. And I get at least once a week in my chat room, where's the proof? Show me the proof. Stop telling me stories. I don't know what proof is because I can bring you those data points on a video, but you're going to say, yeah, those are man-made. That's
difficult.
human technology.
You can't please. It's a difficult subject to please those people that just want. And look, we all want, but you got to be realistic about it. If we could just show you the proof now, we wouldn't be here. We'd be moved on to something else. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to work towards some kind of proof. There is a lot of evidence out there. I always say to people, there's a lot of evidence out there that there is something going on. And that's why I continue to research and have done for so long. That case I mentioned earlier from 1956, where there's radar data, pilot testimony, that is evidence that there is something, there was something happening in the 1950s that is beyond anything prosaic, in my opinion. But it isn't proof. So where do you kind of stop? Where do you draw the line? You're right. It's tough. It's hard to navigate.
I don't know what proof is anymore. That's all I could tell you. I don't know. Unless I see it with my own eyes, I don't know what proof is anymore. We got one final question from our audience. This is Jules. If government employees or ex-employees want to join our civilian organizations, they should have the decency to hide their purposes. It's more of a comment, but Jules is usually pretty strong on what she and very thorough on her comments or questions. What do you think about that idea? That, hey, if you're going public, you got to try and be as honest and open as possible.
Yeah, if they want to join our civilian organizations and be a part of the community as we are with each other, because I like to think overall we are a decent community. The majority of people are decent human beings. So yeah, if someone wants to come and party with us, let's say, then yeah, be open, be honest. Otherwise, because you'll get found out, I think.
Moving forward, we got 4.5 minutes to go here. Hard to believe this is almost the end. Holy cow. Where do you see the next 3 to 6 months going into 2024, including Elizondo's book? Is it ever coming out?
I think we're going to see that more likely towards the end of next year, I think. But next 3 to 6 months will depend a lot on the Schumer Amendment and the Disclosure Act and whether the NDAA goes over Biden's desk and gets that all-important signature and we go into the new year on a high because, we're going to be looking forward to certain things happening. I think that's going to be huge, certainly for people like me. I want to see more witnesses come forward. I want to see more experiences talk up. I think the stigma's dropping enough now that I think it's time. I'm certainly going to platform a lot more experiences. I think it's time for me to kind of dip my toe in that pond and show some respect. What else? I think we need more good conferences. I do like the conference circuit. I'm not for some of the sort of ways that they've been historically, dressing up as little green men, and I want to see serious conversations happen, because the one thing I will say about conferences that I've found is the networking and connections you can make in person are incredible. It's great having people on my show and talking privately, but there's something about in-person meetings and conversations that actually go a long way.
I think so too. The networking is the great part. The
Yeah.
conversations are tough to listen to at times, but the networking is fantastic. And the other thing that I would like to see too, heading into 2024, is I think we need more high quality documentaries on this. And like if I go to Netflix or Amazon right now and I bring up say 20 different uh UFO documentaries from the 90s to 2020, it's the same people saying the same message on a different title
Yeah,
each time.
I
And
agree.
I like seeing new faces and new stories and instead of pumping out the old stories. And I think we need to start digging into more new stories because let's face it, there's more than one Chris Bledsoe out there.
Sure,
There's
absolutely. I mean,
more than one Travis Walton.
yeah, I mean, Steve Bassett's latest, the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, that the aim of that is to put filmmakers together with the community and stuff. And I think that will bring more credibility to filmmakers who are looking to break into this subject, but put something good out. Because you're right, when you go on Amazon Prime, it's just a plethora of what the hell is that? It's just nonsense documentaries, and we don't need that. That just sets us back. That keeps the stigma firmly in place a lot of the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Vinny, we got 90 seconds to go here. And I want to say a big thank you, man. Tonight's show was exactly what I hoped for in bringing this show together. It's been too long. And, definitely we have to do this again, my man.
Anytime. I can't thank you enough. It's been absolutely wonderful. It's the best conversation I've had in a long time. So, Dave, thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Do me a favor, if you don't mind. Tell everybody where they can find your podcast. Tell everybody where they can find your YouTube channel and everything you got, Instagram.
Yeah, no problem. If you go over to YouTube, just search Disclosure Team. It's the very obvious black and white logo that you see here on my microphone. At the moment, it's not going out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It is going out audio only, exclusive to Patreon, which you can join for like $1 a month. Go and find me on Instagram. I'm very active on there, disclosure_team. You can find me on Twitter. But any of those platforms, you'll find the allmylinks.com, and you can just explore from there and find me wherever. And I'm very active. I try and respond to all comments and get into the good conversations. So be good to see some new faces.
And I think to end it, you said something real important there. It's about having good conversation. It doesn't have to, you don't have to agree, but it's about having high quality conversation in letting people understand where the information is going and where you can find proper information without having to delve into the cesspools of Twitter and other places to, find your yoke or whatever it may be. Vinny, thank you so much. What a great show tonight. And you made us better tonight. And I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
All right. Vinnie Adams from Disclosure Team. If I recommend any podcast, and I never do this, this is one you want to sign up for because it's high quality information right from the sources. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, yeah, we've got room for them too. Good night. Hot damn, I'm still hopped up from this one, man. I could honestly, dude, I could probably go another 2 hours with you.
I'm the same. Absolutely. That was brilliant. Really, really good.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. And our audience was great tonight too. So it's I'll be honest with you. I've seen our audience. I think we got shadow banned for a little bit there because our audience, we've been consistent like 250, 290, 300, and then all of a sudden we've dropped to where now a high show is like 220.
Right.
You know, like like a year and a half ago when I had Grant and Lou on, I was having like 4 or 5, almost 450 people in my chat room. And now I'm lucky to get like 170 to 190.
Strange. Yeah. I've had similar things happen. I mean, I don't do live shows at the moment just because I don't have the bandwidth at my address, but strange how it goes like that. It's really weird.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So what is it there? 9 o'clock in the morning?
8 o'clock, 8 a.m.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're 8 hours. I thought you were 9.
What are you? What coast are you?
I'm West Coast. I'm Pacific time.
Ah, okay. So you're midnight, right? Yeah, 8 hours ahead we are.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome, man. I appreciate you doing this. Really do.
That's been great, man. Let's chat again. We'll do something again in the future, man. Definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Probably in January, I want to do a 2023 year in review.
Cool.
So I want to get you and Chris on there and a couple others on there, and we'll make it happen.
Love to, man. That'd be fantastic.
All right, my brother. Much love.
Thank care,
you,
man. Cheers.
Take
Dave.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That was fantastic. Freaking fantastic. We got a good one in this one, man. We really did. Really did. Oregon Viking, how you doing? Algaray over on Twitch, how you doing? Wasn't he refreshing? Like, honestly, wasn't he refreshing just on the topic and making shit happen? Oh, it was fantastic. Great show. Great show. God, I'm happy about that one. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. Now, where are you guys? There you are. Operation Shutdown, how you doing? Plant Watering Citizen, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you. Just a great show. Oh, I'm sorry, Christian. Damn 8-ball. That's why we retired it. I don't even know where it is. It's in here somewhere. It's in the studio somewhere. I honestly don't know where I put it. I'll have to find it. We haven't done 8-ball in a long time. Okay, so while I'm doing the editing portion here, does anybody have any questions about tonight's show? $9 p.m. Tuesday there. Holy cow. So what would that make you? 9 p.m. Tuesday, so that's 12, 19 hours. So you're 19 hours ahead. Wow. I shut down? Did I? Didn't think I shut down. Hi, Jessica Davenport. Hi, Nikki in Seattle. Disabling notifications. What's that about, Data? I know we didn't do it on our end. Thomas Rock, how you doing, buddy? Hey, sweet Robbie G, if you want to come on for a few minutes, you can join us. Joey Zed, what's happening, my man? Charles, how you doing, man? Louisville, Kentucky. You got some great baseball bats there, man. That's history. That's history, making baseball bats. God, I love baseball. You know, I can honestly say that if God gave me one wish, because I'm a sports guy, if God gave me one wish to play one game professionally of the NHL or one game of Major League Baseball, I would choose baseball. If I had to make the decision right now, would I choose one NHL game or one game of baseball? I would choose baseball. I love baseball. Boy, what a Monday nighter this was. Two of the most powerful offenses, and neither of them could get it going. I still think you guys may not agree with me, but I still think we're in for a Philly Kansas City Super Bowl again. This time I think Philly wins. And then Jason Kelsey retires right after the game. That's my thought. It's my thinking. Damn right's Moonlight, Graham. I don't think Detroit gets past KC in the playoffs because the playoffs are a different game, and KC has that experience. Now, I'm not saying Detroit can't do it. Detroit is. It's finally nice to see them dominating for the first time in years. But it's I just don't see them getting past KC in the conference championship. Detroit's done it so quietly too. In the meantime, Buffalo is like 6-5. It's amazing how Josh Allen and Joe Burrow have both had struggling years this year. Yeah, if Jimmy wants to, I'll talk to Jimmy about that. See if we can line something up. We had a lot of fun last time. Light Walkers, how are you? Thank you. Oh, did I do that? Yes, I did. Groovy. Here comes Sweets. There's
Hey,
Sweets.
what's up, Dave? Great show, buddy.
Yeah, that was fun.
Man, that was awesome, dude. Glad to see Vinny over here, mingling with SOR. It was a great moment for what's happening over there, what's happening over here, the powers combining, and I loved it. It was beautiful. Very beautiful.
We nailed a lot of topics tonight, man. A lot of topics. Man, did we hard.
I just had to sit back and watch, man. It was just you were in your Dave mode. You were really getting it in, and couldn't have been any better, man. I was taking notes, man. I was taking notes.
And you know what? Great questions from the audience tonight. They deserve a round of applause for great questions tonight.
Definitely. Definitely. This will go in the books, man. Great way to close out the month. And it's a lot more to go from here. So I'm just excited. Hey, Oregon Viking 86, Kurt M, Brown Dorf, Van Gold.
How awesome was Ross Allison last night?
Oh, Ross killed it, man. I really enjoyed Ross. It was great. Like, I loved his whole perspective on how he attacks how he approaches the paranormal. He was a real awesome dude, man.
Yeah,
really had a good time.
Love that guy.
Yeah. I just
I have a personalized Louisville Slugger bat. No, I didn't know you could get those. That would be freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, man.
How you doing?
Me? I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Lining up some things. So for the audience, I put out on Facebook, I put out a request where I wanted to know who they wanted to have as guests, who they would like to see. They gave me a really long list of guests. And I'm happy to say that we have at least a few of those people booked. So some of those people that you guys really want to see are currently booked in for the month of December. And we got a lot, hopefully I'm trying to fill up December and January, but we should have some hard hitters coming soon here. So I'm excited about that. And because I know it's what the people want to see. Simon Hine.
Simeon
Okay.
Hine.
Simeon Hine. Okay. I'll add that to the list. Let me actually do that right now.
Jules is like the biggest promoter of Simeon Hine, and Simeon Hine is one of the most brilliant people. Yeah, Rob, that's a good call. We are not. I don't know if Rob is for his channel, but for us at SOR, we are not setting up a Discord.
Yeah. And because I don't remember if they were asking me to do that for Discord or for my channel. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. We are efforting Jessica on Jeff Belanger right now for December. Dave, I got to thank Dave Schrader for that. He's trying to help us out, get that one locked in.
Okay, let me see. All right. Simeon Hine. Okay. Paramar. Yeah, we can definitely book Santa Claus. I got him sitting right next to me. This guy right here. This Santa right here. He's not El Omnivolador, but he is Kris Kringle.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. So the viewers are loving the swag. I brought up the swag during the after hours. They love your Dave Scott awareness draws. So we'll just call them draws. They like the Dave Scott draws. And there's a few other items that they really like. Huh?
I got a pair.
Oh, you do? Hey.
Dude, they're
Dave
honestly really comfy.
There you go. There you go. So I'll add that to the list. So when I show it again, I'll say Dave Scott says they are comfy. They're definitely comfy.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite UFO case, Tony D. It's gotta be the Ariel School case. It has to be that. I don't think there's a case where it's pretty much clear cut that this took place. Like there's no question about it. Too many witnesses. These kids interviewed in the moment. You could see on their face they're telling the truth. Yeah, that has to be it right there. How about you, Dave? What's your favorite case?
I like the Stefan Mikulik case in Falcon Lake here in Canada.
Okay, what happened with that one? Not familiar.
Oh, dude, that's a case you need to read up on.
Mikulik.
1967. Stefan Mikulik was out looking for rocks along the creek beds and river beds around Falcon Lake, and he came across a shiny silver craft, which he thought was maybe an American test plane. And all of a sudden there was a second one hovering behind it and above it. And when the door was open and he went in, poked his head in to say hello, and then noise started coming out of the craft. He moved back a little bit, the door closed, and the engines fired up and hit him with radiation burns that came just after they went away in hospital. the radiation burns for a couple years after would actually reappear on his body. Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to quickly say something here. Okay. America, in 3 sleeps, you will have turkey. You will sit around with your family and friends, and you'll give thanks to everything that is good about life. In 4 sleeps, you have to be ready to beat the shit out of some people, America. You need to get down to your local Walmart, your Target, your Best Buy, your Dick's Sporting Goods, and you need to start putting on the foil now, wondering what you're going to bring. I want biting. I want screaming. I want hair pulling, punching, kicking. If you see a child with something that you want, you rip it out of that child's hands. That's what Black Friday is all about, people. That's what Black Friday is all about. You go hard, America. You screwed it up the last few years. We need you back. Bring back Black Friday brawling. It's what makes America good, like apple pie, Monday Night Football. Okay?
Yep, it's another American stereotype. There it is. Pretty much all that is. Stereotypical.
Come on. Do not do this to me. Okay? I look forward to this every year. See, Operation Shutdown. Look at this. I understand the seriousness of Black Friday. Absolutely. If you aren't walking into a Walmart with spikes of nails on your knuckles, you're not doing it right. Okay?
Oh, that's hilarious. I don't partake.
Okay? You should screw the online shopping. Okay? Let's get some madness going. Let's do it right.
Yeah, I guess I could, Kurt. I guess I could film the chaos. Though just Dave, as Dave says, he would like to see that, but we've kind of moved on from that here in America. We kind of, we're a kinder, gentler America at this point, and we figured out how to navigate around and get the best deals. And we have pre-Black Friday sales, which are going on right now, which are almost just as good as Black Friday sales. So that's kind of how it happens here now. It's just, I'm sorry, Dave. It's just the way it is here now.
It's, hearing those words out of your mouth makes me want to cry. Absolutely makes me want to cry.
Peace and love makes you want to cry.
And those aren't happy tears. Okay? America, we got to get back to this. Okay? Enough of this beta male, beta female stuff. Let's get the alphas. Let's get back to the stores and let's fucking rumble. Okay? Just enough of this. We can do it. All it takes is one punch at a time. We could do this. Bring a shovel if you need to. If you need to smack somebody over the head with a shovel, you do it. Why? It's legal. It's Black Friday.
Yeah, Dave, this one is for you.
Denied.
You're not going to mess up our love and peace here in America while you guys are out there being cuddly and kind in Canada. I got to stand up for my country here, man. And kids were hurt in those final days of the chaos of Black Friday. Children were injured. Mothers were trampled. Grandmothers were trampled for flat screen TVs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you like.
It isn't me, my friend. Don't put the blame on me, okay? I'm just trying to bring some respect back to Black Friday, okay?
Hilarious.
You know, I'm looking at all these negative comments like the Doug Shelby. Very disappointed in you, Doug. I don't think it's going to happen for you this year, mainly because they need to only have a very, very few products, most of the popular items. For best results, you need ratios. Oh, see, that's the wrong attitude to have. Okay, like Tim Mothman gets it. Slam your opponent with a big screen TV. That's what we're talking about. Okay, Tim's got it right. Okay, but the problem is we're all doped up on antidepressant and anxiety drugs these days. Okay, that we can't think properly.
Yeah,
Okay,
guys. And Dave thinks he lost his passport. Probably was revoked with this sort of rhetoric. We can't let him back in the States talking like this. He's obviously trying to overthrow the United States. So we can't get something. See, Dave, if he wouldn't talk like this, he might find that passport. Just saying.
hey, maybe that's the case. But you know what? The world, America, the world expects this, okay? We want this. Okay? We need this.
Stand up for me, Americans. I know you're out there. We need a kinder, gentler America. Things are too touchy and hectic, and if we brought that anger and let it out on Black Friday on our own citizens, I don't that would be good. It wouldn't be a pretty sight, but it'd be fun for you to watch from the mountains of central British Columbia. But yeah, here in America, yeah, we're dealing with a lot here, and we're just trying to get back to being loving each other here. So sorry, Dave.
Yeah. I don't want to cry 3 years in a row.
We'll send you something, though. We'll send you something.
All I need is one video.
Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll repurpose a video from circa 95.
I have faith that somebody in Washington or Oregon State is going to make it happen. Somebody from Georgia is going to make it happen. Somebody from New Orleans is going to make it happen. Texas is a good brawling state, so somebody in Texas is going to make it happen. All right.
Well, yeah, let's see.
We can do this.
Yeah, if there is video, then we'll hand it and give it to you. If we have a peaceful, calm Black Friday where everybody gets what they want still, then United States rocks it. I'm the winner.
All right. I got a lot of people putting their money on Florida.
Videos.
That's going to be good.
That's the wild card, though. That is the wild card.
It is. But I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that.
And thank you, Sandra Kincaid. Been supporting you from PA. Rob G. Thank you very much. Paramarv, I appreciate you too. Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
How did my Canucks do tonight? Well, they won 3-1. That's good. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were in attendance tonight.
Yeah, so yeah, we got to get some of that after hours gear in the store, though, man. I'm promoting the store, but we got to get some of that after hours gear.
You know what? You and I will sit down. We'll design some after hours stuff.
Yeah. Let's get that. They want the Rob G bandanas. Someone asked for, I think it was Brown Dwarf. Somebody asked for the Rob G bandanas, and I'm like, I don't know. We might be able to get them in the store. Let's see.
Hold on. Let me check our store here. Let me check our products here. I am not a robot. Let's see if we can.
Yeah, Doug, you're correct, sir. Think it'll be more likely if you get several dozen exhausted, stressed out, and just plain pissed off women with loud, unruly brats in tow. Sounds about right. Do rag, my bad. Yeah, that's right, Brando. Do rag. Got it.
I'm looking. Hold on. I don't want to create a catalog. That's what I need. Yeah, I'm looking here. I'm looking. Catalog. Okay, accessories. What do we got for hats now? Oh, the hats are still kind of ugly. Oh, they got rid of the nice hats. Not a fan. All right, let's go back up here for a second. Catalog. And wonder where that would fall under. Definitely accessories.
Probably.
Hats, no. I don't think they have any bandanas.
We just have to print them up and put them on the store.
They got socks. Yeah. Let's see what they got for underwear. Oh, still the same underwear as before. Boring. Yeah, hats aren't even a good selection right now. Stationery, travel accessories, bandana. The only bandanas they have is for pets. We don't want those.
No, I don't know. Depending on the store, I don't know if they'll have them. So I know last time I had some, we had to custom make them and then put them up.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out where we could get some bandanas made. And what we'll do is we'll put a Rob G after hours bandana in every swag bag for Reno. How about that?
Oh, okay.
That'll be
love
sexy.
that.
That'll be
Work.
sexy. Yeah. I think that'll be good.
Agreed. And so we've been talking about the SOR fan party, May 10th through 12th. And I went ahead and invited some of the viewers to dinner. So we're all going to get together. I don't know who, we're going to put together a list and then we're going to invite you. We're going to invite you to dinner with us. And we have a surprise for you there. That's all I'll say.
All right. I am there. So just so everybody knows, my team, the SOR team, will be landing in Reno on the Thursday. And then we have our own get together night that night to kind of have some dinner and give the kind of the State of the Union. And then that night, if you find us, you can party with us. If you come in Thursday, you expect to party with us Thursday night. And then Friday, we're going to have the live show. And then after the live show, we're going to have our VIP party. And then after that, we are going to, on the Saturday morning, Merle is taking everybody on a ghost tour. We're going to try for Virginia City. And then after that, Melinda Leslie will conduct a Sky Watch. For those who don't go to the Sky Watch, you can meet up with me at the bar. And then Sunday, I know a lot of you will have to go home but those who stick around until Monday, like the SOR team, we will be hanging out, and it's a free-for-all for all of us to do what we want. So it's going to be a great time, guys. It's going to be a great time.
Yep. Definitely is. Can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to meet these guys, these fans, these viewers, these space travelers. Can't wait to meet these really good people. The ones that I've come to know are they're all really good people. So I really can't wait to meet them in person. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, dude, the fans are incredible. They really are incredible, and getting to meet them and getting to be a part of it and what they're up to, and to me, that is the absolute best that we have, is when we are together with them. It like there's just nothing. There's nothing like it. Just being with our listeners, and that's the truth of it all.
Mhm.
It's how do I say this without getting emotional?
You love them all, and they love.
It's you know what? There's something, Rob, about it that is just really, how do you put it? It's really it's pretty freaking awesome to see our audience members hanging out with people that they've only ever really heard on the show. You know, it's pretty amazing to watch that happen and watch everybody just kind of come together for the sake of what we do and what we love. And it's pretty fucking cool. Like when you all of a sudden see, your listeners who are hanging out and they're having conversations with Science Bob, or they're having conversations with Jim Goodall, and they're having conversations with people whom they'll never get a chance to speak with, because like if you go to a conference, okay, if you go to a conference and you how can I put it? A lot of times you go to a conference, guys, and you don't get to actually meet the people that you want. Okay, they disappear. They excuse me. They disappear. That you can't find them. You can't meet up with them. They don't have time. They disappear to their hotel rooms. They, yet for ours, every guest that comes, so every guest that shows up, whether it's Geraldine Orozco or Melinda Leslie or Tim Senor or whomever, when they show up, they're there for you. They really are, and they're there to to hang out with you and hear your stories and for you to ask them questions, you know. Um, like one of my favorite pictures from last year was let me find it here. Go back to May here. Wrong way. Almost there. Where is it here? Hold on. Just scrolling. Like, this is one of my favorite pictures from last year. In this picture, you have Melinda Leslie, a bunch of listeners, Bob McGuire, Jim Goodall, Lala Bright, and many others. Just right there, sitting there having a good time. Everybody together. That was one of the greatest pictures that I got. And that's what the party is for. That's why we do it, is to make sure that everybody is getting together, and everybody is having a good time, and everybody is chatting away and just doing it for the right reasons. And that's what I love about it. Like, here's another one here. You see everybody interacting and getting photos with each other and hanging on out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's to me what it's about. And like when I started putting this whole thing together, that's what I envisioned. I envisioned all of us, and the fans. Like, this is Millennium and what the frig is his name? Oh God, why am I having a brain melt here? Anyways, you look like right down the bar, it's all of our people, right? Hanging out, having a few drinks, talking UFOs, ghosts, and everything else in between.
Nice. With the SOR swag on too. Love it.
I mean, how freaking cool is that? I mean, you see like Tom Whitmore meeting up with people, or it's impressive. It's one of my favorite pictures. There's Jessica Jones with Mama Catherine and Charlie.
Oh, nice. Charlie? Is there Charlie in the audience?
No, Charlie comes into the room every now and again, and but Mama Catherine's here almost every night, and and that's her son. So they're coming.
Nice. It's gonna be awesome. I wanted to be there too, man. I was almost there. It was just so close, but I missed it. I was so close to going.
All right, you'll be here there next time.
Yeah. I'm glad it's almost here though, because I know you had announced it again. It was like, oh, this is 10 months away. Like, it's so far off, but now it's only 5-6 months away. So it's within reach.
Totally within reach.
We're all
going to do it, man. We're all going to do it.
It's going to be awesome. We're going to be the biggest thing going in Reno that weekend. We're going to tear it up.
Hell yeah. Well, my friend, we're going to say goodnight to the audience here.
All right.
I'm going to give you a call here in just a couple of seconds. But tomorrow night on the show, we get into Sasquatch encounters with Thomas Seawood. Okay. And Tom's a great guy. You'll love Tom. And he'll be our guest tomorrow night as we get back into the Sasquatch side of things. Rob, stick around. The rest of you, I want to say a big thank you to Lara ×2, Rob and Michael, T-Bone ×2, Benji, Jennifer, Peter, Simon, and Christine for the awesome super chats. Okay, all of you, if you're in America, start warming up. Only got 4 sleeps. Okay, 4 sleeps, people. 4 sleeps. All right. The rest of you, we will see you tomorrow night, everybody. Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.